Hello, welcome to Dapp Mentors channel, and today begins the very first course of this series that we're starting today. And this series is about building decentralized application, and is brought to you by Bitfinity, network. Okay, Bitfinity is a new blockchain network that is being built on the ICP, ICP platform. So you do check them out. They are the ones that have brought this particular whole video. We're actually going to be doing 4 series course in this tutorial that we're doing. Okay, so the very first one that we're working on, that is the one we're beginning today, and that one is called Dapp Fund X. That's what I name it. Okay, but basically what it is a charity, donation tracker or platform where you can come and create a charity cause, and people can come to donate to you, and you'll be able to track your donors. Okay, and we manage, the platform has the ability to manage the entire processes, procedures that are involved in crowdfunding. So it's a crowdfunding platform in essence. All right, so you're going to see it very soon. All right, this particular system that we're building is very articulate and well designed. Okay, we designed it with Tailwind CSS. We're using Next.js as the choice of framework, front-end framework, basically full stack, but front-end framework. And we're choosing TypeScript, to define the structure of our data type, to make sure that we reduce errors that could come as a result of wrong data type defined, to really improve the efficiency of our coding. So we're using TypeScript. Is very much required right now in the tech industry. So you got to use it. You got to learn how to use TypeScript. So you're learning from an expert on it. So I've been doing this with TypeScript. I know how to help you to get that whole TypeScript thing set up for your Dapp. Okay, and we're also using Redux, okay, to centralize our data so that we'll have component sharing, common data across our application. So it's pretty much important that we know how to do all these sort of things. So we're going to articulate all this, integrate them together in this one application. Of course, I don't want to forget Solidity. Solidity is the bread and butter of this. This is where the foundation of this whole application comes from. So it is whatever we build with Solidity that we are translating into codes, into our front end, and making it accessible from our front end. We can interact with it. So these are the things that we're going to be achieving or accomplishing in this particular tutorial. So this is one of 4 tutorials that are coming. So this tutorial is more than I've been doing this for a while, so I've developed the experience that is necessary to help prepare your learning content in a way that it will be easy for you to utilize. Okay, so no much talk, no much discussing too much, but let's just get into the meat of this program and start building some wonderful decentralized application. So I will see you in the course. So let us discuss about the table of content. What are we going to be achieving in this course? So the first thing is, I've introduced the course to you. I've told you the objective of what we're trying to achieve in this particular course. So the next thing that we want to do is to talk about the table of content, which is basically where we are. So this is the table of content. These are the things that we're going to be learning in this course. The next thing I'm going to be doing with you after this table of content is to show you a demonstration of this particular course, the project that we've built already, so that you can see how it functions and everything that it's made up. Okay, then afterward, I'm going to show you the architecture of this system. So we're going to do diagrams, and you see how every part connects with each other, and this is going to be very instrumental to students, and that is precisely college students and people that are interested in getting those architectural diagram. It's going to be instrumental for you. So I'm going to make sure that is available. And we need a toolbox. This toolbox are basically the tools that we're going to be needing for working on this project. For example, we need Git Bash, we need Node.js, we need all of those things, installed at the right way. So we need all those things together. So that is what we need to make part of this particular tutorial. That is why that toolbox is pretty much important. So afterward, we need this project set up. So we need to set up our project. Surprise thing is that we've designed the front end already, so you don't need to start from scratch, writing the code for front end, HTML, CSS, and all of that is just, basic, for people that are coming into the blockchain. So you should know those basic technologies, so that won't have to waste and spend so much time developing components and all of that. So making this thing shorter and simpler for everyone. And then afterward, once we have our project set up in our computer, then we can start coding, we can start packaging the backend, which is the Solidity code, and then we package everything together and make it available for integration. And then after the integration, then we can conclude this course. So it's pretty much simple in book, but now let's get into the hook. So the first thing I want to do is to show you a demonstration of how this application works. Okay, so I've deployed a version of this application online, and the smart contract is living on the Bitfinity network, and the front end is on Vercel. So I'm just going to connect my wallet. We're using RainbowKit for wallet connection, so you make sure that your MetaMask is installed and all of that. So here we go, we're selecting the Bitfinity network. Okay, and this is my account. How much do I have in this account? Currently I have about 3.5 BTF. Okay, so this is only one charity that has been available on this platform. We can do something here. Let's connect with another account, like this account here. So I'm going to connect with it. I'll be required to re-authenticate, so I'm about to be re-authenticated. Now I'm authenticated again. So I want to load up this Ether, so go to Bitfinity network /faucet. So on the faucet, I'm just going to connect this particular account instead, and mint some tokens on it, because that is how I can communicate with the charity application that we're currently testing. So we have some, ethers, free ethers now. It should be available soon. Okay, 10 ethers available. Okay, this doesn't have information about it yet. So with this, let's come to here. You can create a charity from here, or we can create from here. So we click on this. The name of this charity is Save the Baby Orphanage. Okay, and the name of the custodian of this orphanage, let's say Nice. Is it that I lack names now? Like, I don't understand the name. Nice Memo. Okay, so that is a good name. And how much is this charity requesting? How much are we requesting right now? We want 19 ethers, 19.5 ethers. So we can look for a great image for orphanage. So we can go to Pixabay. In Pixabay, can look for orphanage image. Come on, don't we have an orphanage image? Okay, so am I spelling this orphanage? Okay, so let's use this one. Okay, so we can copy this image here, copy image address, come here and paste it, save the okay, great. and then you can use your social login, stuff, so that it can be used for, description and all of that. And we can just say children, orphanage, some dummy stuff that we can use for description for now. So at this point, you click on create and list, because once you create it, it's going to be listed on our platform. So you click this, confirm, so it's pending, and it's been confirmed, and you see that immediately it's also been created. If you come here, you'll be able to see, two orphanages, two charity platform. So we have this Save the Baby, we have this Bitfinity EVM challenge. So let's make donation. Let's donate to this one here. Okay, see, this is how much has been raised already. So these are the people that have been donating. So let's click on donate, and I could enter my name, say Darlington Gospel, say powering. I say I like what you are doing, keep doing more. All right, so, and then I want to donate about 2.5 ethers. Click on donate button, confirm this. Watch how everything will increase once there has been a confirmation. This was 4.5 before. You can see now it has increased by that too. And yep, so you can see the number of donors. You see all that. If I did not add my name, it will just list my wallet address, and all of this. So basically, this is how it is. And for each time that this money is donated, it is also being the owner are automatically receiving their money. You understand? Like this is on a small screen and it looking like this, but on the last screen it looks much better. You understand? So everything is set for a big launch. So this is how this application works. This is how people be able to make donation. You can even donate to this one as well, and money just entering into the wallet account. So for example, let me show you this. I'm going to connect with this account, okay, and revalidate this. So once I connect, okay, I'm connected. Nobody has donated to this guy yet. So, and this account, if you watch this account too has about 7.49 ethers remaining. So our goal is to make this donation and then see what will become the value of this, because this person is supposed to receive some amount of money. So I'm just going to donate about let's say about 6 ethers, and I would say 6 ethers, sorry. Super thanks for the courage. All right, so I'm donating 8 ethers. Click donate now, and then confirm that. So this is pending. So it's confirmed, and donation has been made and has been added to chain. So the money has been charged from this guy, So you can see that this account that had about 7 ethers before increased, because this is the owner. This is where all the money that is being donated is going to at real time. Although we have a service fee, on the platform, that each time donation is made, there's a certain percentage which you can specify on the smart contract, and it will enable all these transactions to take place and all accounts balanced properly. So this is how the application work. I hope you're supercharged, because we're about to start building this application step by step. Okay, I'm going to next show you the architectural design of this system, so that you can, have a feel of a balance between, for your academic work or something like that, you want to use this as a project, then this will be pretty solid for you. It will really add up. All right, with that said, see you in the next video. Okay, so now let me show you how the system works in an architectural, standpoint of view. So this is a user coming in. You can be the admin or you can be just a regular user, it doesn't matter. And then you get authenticated, which is the process of you connecting your wallet. Okay, so once you've connected your wallet, you can create a charity or you can make donation. So let's say you created a charity. Once you created that charity using one of the functions that are in the smart contract, then it will be listed on the interface, okay? And others can make donations. So donors, online donors can make donations to you by activating the donation function that is inside of this smart contract. And once any action is takes place in the smart contract, any right operation, which is either creating a charity or making donation, that data or that information is saved on the chain, which is this blockchain right here. And from the blockchain, we can read the information that is being saved, is being validated, which are all the donations and all the charity. This is where it's being displayed. So basically, as simple as this is how this particular application functions. All right, so let me show you some of the packages that you need to be able to run this particular application. All right, so most definitely we're going to need VS Code. VS Code is really great because it's kind of had become the home of developers. It's very easy to code with VS Code. It has all the favorite thing that you're going to need for development purposes. So that is one of the cool thing about VS Code. So I'll totally recommend them, and all my tutorials I use VS Code. Please use VS Code. All right, so secondly, you need Node.js. This is unnegotiable. All right, get the recommended one, okay, not the current or latest, the recommended one for whichever operating system that you're using. So use that one and install it on your machine, okay. And if you're successful with that, if you run node-v, it should be able to show you the version of Node that you're using. I'm currently using version 18, so that is it. You need Git bash because Git bash will enable us to run some really fantastic terminal, you understand. It's easier, okay, it's universal, it cuts across the various operating system that you're going to be using it. So you can install it for Windows, Mac, or Linux. It's very cool and straightforward for your GitHub command process, because one of the things that we want to do is to clone this project from a certain standpoint so that we won't start everything from scratch. So but if you don't have this Git bash installed, you won't be able to follow us on that particular line. So that's why you need to install it. And if you successfully installed it, if you run git-v or git-v or version, you see that this is the current version of git bash that we have. So that is how it works. You also need yarn. Okay, yarn is pretty much important. You can install it globally, and just run yarn. So you run npm install -- global flag in yarn. All right, so currently I've already installed yarn, so you do yarn-v. So this is the current version of yarn that I'm currently using. You need that because that is the package manager that we're using for all our installations. It's pretty straightforward, much modern, and I just like the feel and how it doesn't, how the way it operates is just, much more better for me, if you ask me, from my opinion. Lastly, you need this package. This is the project that we're working on, okay. This is the project, but the thing is here that I've already documented it. I've already stated all the processes, the steps that you need in running this application. So I took my time to write this whole thing, so it's well detailed and straight to the point. All right, so what you're gonna need is, we need to start from, not from this master branch, but we're going to start from this no redux aspect. So I'm going to clone this project and then start from that no redux blockchain. So to do that, I'm going to copy this URL Okay, so basically these are the things, but in the next video, I'm gonna show you how we clone this project and have it all set up so that we can start our development process, right? So I'll see you in the next video. Now, to have this project set up and ready for our operation, for our use, what I would like you to do is I need to open on the terminal your working directory. So here is my working directory. I use this site folder. So let me show the enclosing folder. Sorry, not this list. So this site here, I want to open it, on the terminal. So I'm opening that particular location on the terminal. Now, what I want to run is clone this project here. So I have to do git. You see why I told you to install git bash. So I do git clone and then this particular name. So I'm going to call it Dapp Fund X, Dapp Fund YT for YouTube. Okay, so because I have another one there, so I'm going to call it that name, and it's going to clone it into this folder. So it's receiving all the packages and everything there. So the cloning is completed. So the next step you need to do is say cd into Dapp Fund YT. So you're in there, and you want to open this on VS Code first. So we want to say code, open this on VS Code so that we can proceed from here. So this is all the application. These are all the packages that we're going to need. These packages, all of them, we're going to need them. So the first thing we want to do is to make sure that these packages are installed. All right, they're installed even before we move to that particular branch that we want to work from. So we want to have all these packages installed, and to have them installed, just open your terminal. I'm going to bob this a little bit so that you can see it properly. I'm going to shrink this and clear this. So I want to install this project. It has quite a lot of things that are essential. Okay, so let's have that done. So we say yarn install, run that. So this is why we need a yarn, and this may have installed pretty quickly because I've already done this project before. So I believe some of these packages are just cached on my computer, so that's why it's running pretty fast. All right, so and there we go. The node module folder is also installed and everything. Okay, so now this is done. Pretty cool. All right, so let us explain this particular project for you. I want to explain this project for you so that you will flow with me. I think I should explain it from the master because it contains the rest of the project that is the rest of the parts and component that is associated with this particular project. So the first thing I want to do is look at this. The part that you have to put your attention, I'm only going to talk about the part that you have to be aware of. This artifact folder, this is where, after compilation of your smart contract, okay, this is where the codes, the build, the ABIs, they are going to live in this folder called artifacts. Okay, this cache is when you make a compilation, so it kind of compiles your smart contract with a certain Solidity version, so it caches it, and so that you won't get to re-download Solidity compiler over and over again to compile subsequent codes. Okay, and this husky and dot next is none of your business, just let them be. Okay, these components will be responsible for holding the different parts of the website, such as you can see the header, this component, each part of this are on they form this. So we have band component, we have banner component, we have card, we have connect button. Connect button can be seen as this particular button here. So that component makes, this component is responsible for it. We have delete, component that is responsible for deleting a charity. We have details component, which is, I believe, the one that we're seeing, this one here. So this is detailed component. we have the donation component, donor, footer, header, navbar, navbtn. Navbtn is basically this component right here. So that is what we use that for. We have payment component, code component, start component, support. Support just basically lists all the people that have supported you. So which is all of these. Okay, so each one of these components, they have their various part. This is a footer component, of course. So that is what you need to know about this component folder. This contract folder is where our smart contract lives. Okay, so this is where we code our smart contract and put it here. So, and this is the address of the smart contract once we deploy it on a network. So that is the purpose of this folder called contract. This node module, you know what it is, just let it go. It's just all your installation. This is where they live, the packages that you install. The pages, meanwhile, are the various parts of this website, the different web pages of this website. For example, this index is the main page of this website. We have project, which is like an individual charity that you have created. This is a page where those will be listed. We have this is not a page, this is like the entry component that is responsible for bootstrapping the entire component and pages. So that is very important that you understand how it works. And we have this other page. We have this one called create, which is a page that enables us to create new charities. Okay, we have another page here which is a single donation or charity. This is where we display it. This page is responsible for that. This is another page called edit. So if you want to edit an existing charity organization, their details, this is how you do it. Take care of it here. And this API, we only have one API here called this next auth. It really helps us to perform authorization, which you can see here. So for example, when I click on this connect wallet, this authorization procedure, okay, is handled by this API endpoint here. So you should take note of that. So that is all about this page. This screenshot is nothing. This script here is, we have different script that Haddad uses to manage our smart contract. For example, this script is responsible for deploying the smart contract into the network, and this script helps us to seeding, data, dummy data into the network. That is one of the things that you're going to learn when we're developing the smart contract itself. You understand? Okay, so we have services here. Okay, this services is a blockchain service which serves as an intermediary between the smart contract that is living on the blockchain and your web interface, which is your Next.js application. So this will be this particular, for every communication that we're going to be doing with the smart contract on the chain, will be done through these functions that are on this blockchain service. And we have provider. This provider is basically what is responsible for this wallet communication right here. So this wallet communication, the service that powers it is this provider, and you can see even our customized Bitfinity network here. That is great. So that's for services. So we have the store, which is basically our Redux store. You see action here. Okay, these are all the actions that we're going to take place in this particular application. Okay, actions, they are like functions that helps to perform activities on the Redux store, okay, on our data that is being stored on the Redux. Okay, we have states. States are basically the container that we hold globally the various data that we're going to store in our Redux. Okay, we are integrating them all with this type interface. Okay, we have a way that what we've already outlined to be the data type and the interfaces that we want to use in this application because of TypeScript. Great. So this is just the configurations of of Redux. Okay, I'm going to get back to this later. I'm going to show you step by step on how you can achieve this. All right, so the next thing you want to do is, okay, this is test. This is this is the code that we're using testing our smart contract, to verify that it actually works. All right, before we even started integrating. this utils folder, this is one of the utility file. It's basically like a service, but what it does is fake data. It generates fake data. We're using it in conjunction with the Faker library. This is a newer kind of Faker library, but it works so far because the old Faker had been, pulled out from the npm store. So, but this guy, had a new Faker library that we're using. Right, so we use Faker library and our charity structure and support structure to generate fake charity organizations and also fake supporters. Okay, so this is what we use in generating all this fake data that you're seeing here. All right, they are being generated by this fake data.ts. We have helper.ts, which is just utility function, for example, for using in truncating is it okay? There is no example that I can show you here, but all this truncation are handled by this. Even wallet truncation later on, which you will see, are also handled by that particular function. Okay, and we have this type interface, which has all the interfaces that we're using in this particular application. We have the truncate param. Okay, we have the donor params. We have anyone that you see param, that means it's what I use when I'm filling a form. All right, and then anyone that you see struct is basically what we are using to structure our data as it's coming from the blockchain. All right, so we have charity struct, support struct, global struct. This is basically used. These two interface are instrumental for Redux operations that we're going to be doing, as well. And what else have I not explained? Hard hat. This is the configuration. This is what we use in configuring our hard hat for deployment and management of our smart contract. Okay, so with this, that is just all about the most essential things that you need to know about this project. So I'm going to toggle this now. I'm going to toggle it to no Redux and no blockchain. There is something I want to let you know here. We have let me see, control. I want to search for .env env file. Okay, so this env file, of course, is hidden, using git ignore. I don't think I added it there. So it's supposed to be hidden though, but I'm just gonna show you here. So it's hidden, and all this data, all this information, they are coming from this one here is already, this is a local host. That means when I run my blockchain server, my hard hat blockchain server, this is the URL endpoint which I can access that resource. And also for Next.js, for this authentication that comes as a result of, authorizing the wallet. Okay, it needs a next authentication, URL. So when I copy this and run this check here, so you can see in this particular place that I showed you before, you can see that I'm using it here, okay, for authorizing a wallet to connect properly. So that is the use there. We also have this next auth secret. It's not really important. I mean, it's important. You have to put something there, but whatever you put in, it's not really important, so it's not a great deal. So the great deal is these two items here. These two items here, you can get them, by visiting. You see, this is the place in this. That's why I told you that these applications, they have been well documented. Like for here, you have all these secrets, environment variable, and how you can set up your own. You can get the Alchemy on by visiting Alchemy. Sorry, let me go here. Okay, yeah, if you haven't signed up, let me just copy this, or let me open it on a new tab. I'm not a fan of opening so many tabs just like that. All right, so I'm inside my Alchemy dashboard. You create a project or use an existing project, the ID of an existing project, which is this API key. You copy this API key. That is what you can use here, in this Alchemy ID. Okay, so and then you also need to come to, if you look at here, we have another one, this wallet connect project ID. You copy the link. Let's come to this place. So you need to sign in for Cloud.Wallet Connect, app. So you just use like a demo, and you can use this project ID here and replace it here. Okay, so these are just the environment variables that are very important for the functioning of this application. All right, so once you have all that in place, you can then start this application. How you start it, because we have not yet have all this backend activity, we're using fake data. That is what will be displayed. So we want to do yarn start, no, not start dev. All right, so it could take a while to load up Bootstrap and all of that before we can start working on it. So everything is compiled and all of that. So we can come to this page, come here. So this is already reloading. You can see this band component is even here. Okay, so when you come here, you see all the fake data that has just been generated. Okay, and you can even visit any one of them, but information will keep changing. Even as you refresh, information will keep changing, because none of these things are committed to the blockchain or anything. These are just fake data that are just being displayed. So with that said, I believe that you understand the current status of this project. So in the next part of this project, we'll start decoding the development part of it. So I hope you're excited so far, and if you are, smash that like and subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and let's jump into the next section. All right, let's begin the development process of this application. All right, so currently, I shouldn't have ended that. Currently, what I want to demonstrate to you is that whenever this is showing up, because we're using get server-side prop, these information are being fetched from the back end, from the server side, and rendered. Okay, so if we want to make some recalibration later, for example, whenever someone donates, want this to increase, so without having to refresh this entire page, we need a process that where we can store that data, so instead of it being pulled directly from the back end and displayed here on screen, we want to first store that information on Redux. Then we can display the one on Redux there, so that when someone donates, we can update the one on Redux, and that will automatically display here as well. So that's the idea here. So that's why we're starting with Redux. So I needed to create a new branch, okay, out of this existing one. Okay, this one doesn't have any Redux. All right, so let's create a new branch out of this. You can, if you're using GitHub, if you're using this, that's why I told you to get VS Code, because if you're using VS Code, you can just click down here, or let me just run the command. Okay, so you can do git branch, I think, something like this, and then you give it a new branch name. The name of the new branch is called YT-Redux. Okay, so we've created a branch called YT-Redux. Now, after we created a branch, we need to check out into that branch. Say git checkout into YT-Redux. All right, so you see that this branch has been switched to what? To Redux. So we are now in the YT-Redux branch. If you click here, you see that I'm being given the option to publish this new branch. Okay, you can see this YT-Redux right there. So that is the current branch that we are right now. So we now have a copy of all that we need of the previous branch. So to utilize Redux, we've already installed all the packages that we're going to need when you run that yarn install. So Redux is already here. What we're using, let me show you Redux right now. So this is Redux toolkit we're using. All right, and then you're also using this React Redux, so they work together. All right, so with that, let us package these things together. So to get it together, we need to create a folder called store, and inside this folder we're going to create about some couple of files in it. So you come here to in the root of this project, create a new folder called store. All right. So inside this store, create two new folder, one called actions and the other called states. Sorry, the other called states. Okay, so we have actions and states. So inside of states, this is where we want to name this global states, because you can, if you're building a large scale application and you have various aspects and components. For example, you have user database, or you have store products, you have books, you have collections of. For that reason, you might want to have so many different states, and you put them on different files. But for a small scale application like such as this one we're building, we don't need to have so many states. You understand? We only need one, and we want to call that one. We choose to call that one global states. Okay. So inside of here, that is the naming convention that I'm using. So inside of here, you create a new file called global states.ts. So we're using TypeScript for everything here. So TypeScript, all right. So in creating this, you need to export a component called const. It's going to have exactly the same name called global states, all right, and it's going to be an object. So inside of this global state, whatever we want to add, we can add them here. For example, we want to be able to have all the charities, okay, charities in one place, and it's an array of charities, okay. And we also want to have like a single charity, here, which is going to be like null. All right. So this is great to an extent, but we need to use TypeScript, to make everything, airtight against error. So that is why we have this. We've built a certain. Let me show you. We've built these, interfaces when you come here. So this interface, basically, it contains all the data types that we're going to use. For example, it has charities, and charities is an array of charity, struct, which is this here. We have charity, which is just a single, and it can also contain null value. This is very important, otherwise you get some errors. We have supporters, which is just an array of supporters, so it defines all the things, and even owner. Okay, so all of these things are quite important, and you need to define this root state. You're going to find out that later on we're using this root state to target the global state. It will make a lot more sense to you when we are using it. Okay, why we're not going to use. There's a reason why we're creating this, and it makes sense when you see it in action. So for now, just understand we have two interfaces, which is global state and a root state. They are going to be instrumental in our interactions with Redux. Okay, so now I'm going to use this particular interface to tighten this one here, this state in the Redux, so that we will only have the items that we're looking for. So this global state, we need to import it from this location here. So now it's giving me warning because there are some missing properties here. So we have charities, we have charity singular, but we don't have the rest of these, which include the support, the owner. Let me just bring it up here. So I'm going to bring these things here, but you can't reference them this way. So for this, I'm going to keep it there. For this, is going to be, make sure you put a comma. So scale is going to be 0 by default. So there is a reason behind this. I'm going to show you as well later. So, sorry. Let's just complete that. All right. So we have this. We have this. We have this. Anything that is a modal, we contain that. And this, we don't really need. This should be empty by default. So because we've represented all the properties, the error that was plaguing us had gone now. Great for us. So we want to do something similar, okay, we want to do something similar for actions. So inside this actions folder, I want you to create a new file, call it global actions.ts. All right. Inside of this global actions.ts, we're going to export another object that is a set of functions. So watch me do it. So export a const called global, not global state, but global actions. All right. So this global action is going to be an object that contains the mutation function, the functions responsible for altering the values of each one of these properties here. All right. So for example, these charities, we're going to create a function, an equivalent function to change it, to update and to put things inside of it. We'll call that set charities. Okay. So this set charities is going to be a function, or an arrow function, a fat arrow function. All right. So this way is okay, but we need to make it much more descriptive. All right. So the parameters that an action in, I think I also call this reducer, requires is state. It requires state, and it requires the action that we want to mutate. All right. The state is a type of that global state. Remember, this is where all the states that we ever need for this will come from. So it defines that type. And then this action is going to be of a type of payload action. That one is also coming from what Reader's Toolkit. But then you want to define the kind of action of data type that should go, that this action should carry. The payload of this action should carry. You should carry charity, struct, an array of it. Okay, so this is the parameters that we'll pass. And now we need to set this thing here. We want to say state. This state dot is a targeting charity is because of this TypeScript. It's not providing us information, intelligence into what we want to, which kind of state that we want to update. So I want to say this action dot payload. We want to pass the payload and set it up here. So this is what it is like, creating a function that changes this charities array here. So now I'm just going to duplicate this and do something quick here. So we'll say set charity. All right. And this is not going to accept an array, just a single value. Call this charity. You understand that? That is done. We also need to work for these. See here, I want to make sure that we can also set up in case null. All right. So that is important there. Now I want to do for this delete and all of them, which are just strings. So we can duplicate this, call it set delete moda. We're using a very intuitive naming structure. So now in this place, set delete moda, once the data type that should be set to be string, okay, should be a string, and we're setting that delete moda to this. Okay, this is very close. Now let me do the same for the rest of it. Basically is, so I'm going to say delete this donor. So here, say donor. All right, that is it for that one. Let's do for this support moda. Okay, do this. Make sure that everything here, so this is donor moda. Otherwise, we'll be setting a different state. So you need to make sure that everything is in line with each other. And lastly, okay, not lastly, but this ban moda. Okay, here, ban moda. Okay, so lastly, we need that set owner. So here is owner. So all of these are strings, so I don't need to change any one of these. So with this right now, I have created the functions that we change each one of these things here. All right, there are a few more things that are remaining here. And before I proceed forward, I want to use this dev tool to make sure that I don't really have, redux on this right now. So if I say, let's say the bottom, so there's no redux here. You can see there's no redux found in this app, in this page. So now let's create a few more files. I think 2 more files. Okay, very simple. One, we need to bundle each one of these slices. Okay, each one of these action and state. We need to bundle them as a group so that we can utilize them in the main. It can be available globally. All right, so to bundle them, we need this thing called slice. Put them in slices. So we say global slice, global slices. Since we're only dealing with one, we don't want many. So global slice.ts. In global slice, we need to export a constant variable called global slices. Okay, and it's going to be of a type. It's going to be storing create slice. This create slice is coming from Redux toolkit. Okay, so create slice is how we create a slice, and inside of it an object. First thing is the name of this slice is what global. That is what we'll just call it global, right? And its initial state is going to be that global state. Okay, global state here. All right, and its initial, it reducer. It has a reducer every one of these. Remember, this is for the state. The reducers are the actions. Okay, so we'll call this global actions. All right, so these are important. Now we need to export this const global actions is equal to this global. You see, I'm making a big error here. I'm going to show you why I'm going to choose a different route. So global action dot action, global slice dot action, because I'm importing a file here called global actions. I cannot redefine it here. So what I can do to resolve this thing and to maintain the same naming convention that I want is, because this is going to be important when I'm importing it later on. So I want to give these two values an alias. So for example, I'm going to copy this. I will say something like as global action just with a big G. All right, and now when I put this, that error is gone. So to follow the same sequence and flow, I'm going to do something similar as this, and just say this and replace it with that. So now we have those two as aliases. Now I'm going to export default here. Now again, call it global slices dot reducer. All right. So these are going to be important. This is what I bind to my store. In the moment I bind it to my store, it will now become available all around the store. So if you're still confused, just focus on this pattern that I'm giving you. This thing is pattern recognition. So when you recognize this pattern that I'm using, it won't be much of a problem anymore to you. So I'm going to create another file here. Call it index.ts. All right. The index.ts will bundle what the slice that we just recently created, which is this global slice here. So you want to say export. Okay, export const store. We want to call it store, and this is where we configure our store. We configure our store with the state, global state, and its reducers and all of those things. So we say configure store. All right, which is coming from Redux toolkit. It's going to take an object as a parameter, and the most essential one is this reducer. All right, in this reducer, we want to bind it with this global state. Okay, we need to import that first. We want to say import, global state. Okay, it's global state here, so we're importing it here. I mean, we're not importing global state, sorry, we're importing global slices. Okay, so that is what is important. So I want to say this global slice, this global state, okay, is going to be called this global slice. So that is what we're using for our reducer. So as simple as this, we're done with our store configuration. Now we need to hook it up, bind it to this application. To bind it to this application, we need the entry component of this application, which is this app_app.tsx. So we need to wrap it around here, okay, for it to be applicable to our page, and we can then utilize it from there. To do that, I would like you to, inside of here, we're going to create another component. React Redux provide us with a component that wraps this store, in around our application. So we want to say provider, the provider that is coming from React Redux. So I want to say provider, not providers. So in this provider here, I want you to move all the content inside here. So inside of this provider, which is coming from React Redux, it has a prop called store. This prop, it needs a store configuration, which is this one here that we just finished configuring. So we need to pass it down here. We say store as well, but this store is coming from this store file. So we do that, and you can see that it's all wrapped together now. So at this point, we have successfully wrapped our application with Redux. So let's test it out to verify that it's actually working as I'm saying. So say yarn dev to spin up the application. Now I'm going to come here, waiting for this to refresh. Okay, so now this is refreshed. So let me check that Redux dev tool again at the bottom. You can see right here that we now have global state. You can see that all of these are being recognized because this is what Redux has been successfully been applied to this application. You can see all our state variable. This charity is an array. The charity singular one is a single value, and all of those things and their default values. So this is how you configure Redux in your Web3 application. So right now we have this part taken care of. In the next set of video, I'm going to now start bridging data, with Redux, meaning that when I fetch data from the back end, I will put them in the store first before displaying them, to the view. So I will do that with you in the next part of this video. So after having are we Git stuff in all this? Okay, I think we should be committing this so that we can see what we're doing. Reduxified. Okay. I'm just going to commit that. Yeah, I could publish this branch so that it will be part of what we're doing. Okay, so now that I have this part, I've added Redux to this project. We need to start bridging the different components. So for example, let's come to the page, this index page, the home page. From here, I'm grabbing, server-side data. So this charity that is being generated is coming from the server side, and I'm making it available as a page prop for this home page. Then I'm passing it straight to this component called cards. All right. So now what I want to do is, before I pass it to this component called card, I want to first pass it to our store, and then from the store I could pass it here. So that would bridge the gap. So that is one of the things I want to do in this particular session. So let's get started. Okay, I don't know if it will be very instrumental in this page though. For this page, let's check it out again. I don't know if it's very important for this stage. So I don't think so, because when we're creating stuff, so we're not going to work with it on this page. Let's work with it from, even on this page, I don't think it's very much important either. So the page that is most important about it, okay, will be this index page here. This ID page. This is a dynamic page. This is where we utilize this a lot. We do a lot of dynamic operations. So this is where we want to add that Redux in. So we don't want to put it everywhere. We just want to put it in the most essential places. So here is okay for us to put it. So let's come here in this page prop. You see where we're grabbing this data. You see we're not only grabbing charity data, which is a singular charity. We're also getting the support data. Those people that have had word of support and the owner. Okay, so these are the stuffs that we need to grab. Okay, it's not super important. So let's just get it started. Okay. So you can see the page properties, okay, which is this interface here, page props. All of this, I'm supplying all the other data here. Okay, so with that, let's get this whole part started. All right, so the first thing we want to do is to use this effect to capture this data. So let's create use effect here. So whenever this page is properly loaded, we want to put this thing in the store. So we're using use effect to monitor for that. So why use effect is on point. To put stuff in the store, there is a property called dispatch. You can call it const dispatch. This dispatch, we use a hook that comes with React Redux called use dispatch. Okay, so you can see I'm importing it right here. All right, so this state here, I'm going to use it to. I'm also going to be grabbing some data, some function. We set some actions earlier on. For example, the set charity function, the set supporter function, set delete modal function, and all of those. We need that function to be able to reference the particular action we want to dispatch. So we'll say const, and then we'll destructure this. This is going to be coming from global action. The global action that is coming from the slice, not the here, but here. Okay? This global action. Sorry, it's not supposed to be like this. So this global action, I'm going to get set singular charity. See, provided those information. Okay? And also set support. Okay, this is set. Is this set support or set? Probably did not added that. Okay, set support. We needed one extra. Let's come here to the store action. Okay, this action. So I want to do some changes, just update some certain things here. So we had set supports. So we need to be able to update that support as well. So which we can use this, duplicate that. Okay. And we can change this to set supports. So we have support struct. Okay, and this will be support. Right, so let's save that. After saving it, we then can come to this place and we can call that function set support. Okay, we have it available now. So we have those two functions. What we simply want to do here is once use effect is properly loaded, we want to dispatch a function called set charity. And then we want to dispatch charity data, this particular one, charity data. That's what we're dispatching into the store. We want to do the same thing for this set support. We want to also dispatch set support, and we want to pass this support data. You see that those are very important. Okay. After doing this, we will not be using this. Okay, unfortunately, let me just remove that. It's not necessary, so I'm going to remove this from everywhere that is coming from. All right, so we'll not be using that. Okay, so we've dispatched these two stuff, but there are some things that need to be dependency. Okay, there need to be dependency of these use effect. Okay, one, we need the dispatch, because anytime a dispatch happens, we want this to be retriggered. We need set charity, the charity data, the set support, the support data. So anytime each one of those things they change, we want to implement a change as well. Of this, we'll revisit this component later. So at this point we'll have this going. Okay, I just removed this owner here. Okay, and we need to make that whole owner thing optional in this component as well. So let's remove it. We don't want it to be part of the essential thing that we need here. Okay, so we've removed all of its record there. So we remove anywhere that whole owner thing was being used. So here we go now. So now we're half done in this way, but we're not truly done yet. We've been able to set that information in the store, but we need to retrieve it from there. You see, currently we're just using charity and support are just like coming from this data that is coming from the back end. But the idea of bringing Redux is to put the stuff in the store first before you can retrieve it from there. So let's retrieve it. Okay, so to retrieve it, you do const. So you do const, which is, the structuring. We're using selector, another hook. Use selector from React Redux right here. Okay, we're going to pass a fat arrow function inside of it, and what we want to get is the global state. Okay, but you need to define which type of data this is. It's called root state. Root state, okay, because root state will give us the right information about which state we want to use. So say state. I think we should call this states, because there could be more than one state, if you're actually writing a bigger application than this. Then you want to call this global states. You see, if I have like user state, I could call user state. If I have like product state, I will call like product state. A different kind of state can be gotten by you arranging it in this way inside of this root state. And if you want to see, root state only has one of these states, okay, because we're only using one. There could be other, and this is everything that you need to know about global states, okay. So global state has all this information. If I have user state, it will have all its own information and so on. So this is good. Now we need to fetch, instead of fetching this charity coming here, it should come from here, charity, and here, support. Okay, so let's save that and check it out on the view. So let's refresh. You see that everything is working just fine. There is no difference, but there is difference now, because everything here that you're seeing has been bridged by Redux. Okay, so this same idea. Okay, this is all we need to do for now, and as we build on, I will be showing you where I will be featuring this more in the project. All right, at this point, we are good to start developing the smart contract. Okay, this is a very important part of this, build. So we need to put the smart contract together. I'm going to just say single charity Redux. Okay, so that part will be taken care of. Synchronize. Right, so I want you to create another folder in the root of this project. Call it contracts. So this is where you put all your smart contracts. So the only smart contract we're creating is called Dapp Fund. You can say Dapp Fund X. So for Solidity, you can just copy the name of this smart contract. That is what we use when we're saying contract. Okay, and then we can give this the name of the contract. Okay, so we'll come back to this a little bit later. The first thing you need to do is we want to define the license identifier and also the range of Solidity compiler that are qualified to compile this smart contract. All right, and we're going to take some few Open Zeppelin contracts to facilitate our development, such as ownable, counters, and access control. Okay, so we are going to say that this particular Dapp Fund X contract is ownable, okay, and access control, so it's inheriting from these two. This one here is just a library, so it's not a contract, so it can't do inheritance. And how you communicate with library, especially for these counters and the one that has to do with numbers, is by specifying, saying that I'm using this counter for counter.counter, okay? And after that, we need like two counters, stuff that we keep count of certain, certain activities that are happening in our smart contract. For example, we need to be able to keep track of, we need to be able to keep track of charities that have been created, and also the total number of donations that are being done on our smart contract. So to do that, let's paste this. So this is what it means. Total charity represents total number of charities that have been created. Total donation represents total number of donations that have been created. So with that, we're done. And we also need to represent the number of the tax in percentage that we would charge for every charity donation that happens on the platform. So for example, we'll call it charity tax. It's public so that everyone can see it. So, and it's unsigned integer 256, so it's a large number, maximum number basically in the unsigned integer family. So this will keep track of of the percentage of tax that we are to charge for every donation that happens on this platform. That is what I'm simply saying. So we need some mappings that we use in keeping tabs of the data that are being created on our platform. One is going to be charities. Okay, this mapping will keep track of charities. So for every charity that happens on our platform, it needs a unique identifier, a number to represent that charity. So number 1, charity 1, number 2, charity 2, number 3, charity 3, you understand? The same thing for support, so each charity has their own support, and that support carries an array of it. So supporters of a certain charity, okay? And this we keep track if a charity exists or not. Okay, so, but before we can be able to make sense of this, we need to create this charity structure. So a charity has some information, all right? So what I've simply done is, if you look at this, okay, this type interface, we are basically going to represent this in Solidity version, which is struct. In TypeScript, it's called interface, but in Solidity, it's called struct. So I'm going to represent it in Solidity by this. Okay. So this is charity struct. It has all the data. Okay. The same data that we have in that TypeScript here. Okay. All of it. This is how TypeScript defines it. Okay. We are basically doing the same thing with just some few changes. For example, instead of using string for owner, it's called an address. All right, so that is it about this charity struct. So the next thing we want to do is for this support struct. Okay, the support struct, it takes similar approach as well. If you look at here, it's going to take something similar to this. So I'm just translating this to its version in Solidity, which is this. Okay. And of course, this is the ID, unique ID for each or a particular struct, a particular, the number for a particular support. Okay, so for example, this is a support, okay, and that will have its own ID, and this is another support, and it has its own ID. But their CID, which is charity ID, will be just this particular one. So that's what it is here. So the ID is unique, but the CID is general, okay? So that is what it is about this. And the supporter is the address of the person that made that donation. All right, so at this point, I think we're cleared of every error that was flagged before. So we can proceed to the rest of this code. We need a constructor because when we deploy the smart contract, we want to feature the intended percentage of charges that we want to charge for every donation that happens on this platform. So for example, this is a constructor. This is a parameter that we're passing in. We call charity struct, and inside that charity struct, charity tag, we're just assigning it, to the percentage of this charity tax so that we can use it in subsequent computation, okay? So afterward, we need a function that will be responsible for creating a charity. So I'm going to do this here. So this function is called create charity. It takes in a name, full name, name of the charity, name of the charity, full name of the individual that has a charity, the profile, which could be your Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or whatever thing that can be used to represent or to know who this particular person is, the description of the charity, and the image URL of that particular charity, including the amount that the charity organization is targeting. So if you look at this, we have charity params, and all the stuff that I'm actually, specifying here are part of the charity parameters, all right? Because this is a param and we need all this information, except this ID, which is optional, you understand? These are the information that we're passing in to a charity for creation. So once we've specified that, we need to verify that these information that are being passed are accurately being represented. So we can do, this to enforce that. First of all, we're converting this name variable to byte and checking the length of it, okay? So that we want to know if it's greater than 0, because if it is greater than 0, that means the person did not, specify anything here, and then we'll say name cannot be empty. But if it is greater than 0, that means it carries some value. So the same thing that we're doing for each one of these, except amount, which is a number, and then we only just have to check for the equivalent of it. If it is greater than 0, it has. If it's not, it's the amount cannot be 0 either. So those are some of the checks that we're doing. After this check, we want to, first of all, increment the number, because this total charity you see here, it starts from 0. So by default, it is 0. So when I actually write this logic by calling this increment method of that charity, total charity, then it will be increased to 1. I did this so that I want all charity number to start from 1 and not 0, okay? So after I've done that, I need to create a variable that is of a type of charity struct, which is this thing called charity here. So after creating it, I will then assign it an ID. So I'll say charity.id will become this total charity.current. The current will give me the current index number. So for example, since I click on this, I added this increment, it will be 1 at this current here. So the charity ID will be 1 here by default. Okay? So there are other information that I need to also pass in here. So I'm going to pass in these, all right? So the charity owner will be this msg.sender, the caller of this function. The charity name is whatever is passed there, full name, address, all of this, including the amount. So now, but the timestamp, we can use block, dot timestamp, but the problem that I've noted, in the long run, is that this block.timestamp doesn't have, it only have 10, it only have 10 digits, 10 digit data, 10 digit timestamp. Okay, what do I mean by that? If I open this, let me open this right now. Okay, and show you something that is quite different. Okay, so this is the console here. In this console, if you do date dot now, you see that this may not look like, let me count it for you. Date dot now dot to string, okay, and then say dot length. You see that it's 13 digits number. That is what this is made of. All right, but the one that is coming from the blockchain, the EVM, is only 10 digits, and it doesn't just match up with our JavaScript requirement. So therefore, when you're structuring it and using it in the front end, you have to account for that extra 3 digit that is missing. In order not to be doing that in the front end, I devised a function that helps us to fill that gap, which is called this current time. I'm basically just multiplying the timestamp by 1,000 and then add 1,000 to it. That will populate it with 3 zeros extra, so to make it 13 in total. So now I can just replace this with the current timestamp. Okay, so once I do this, I can then say this charities, which is here, this charities, I will say this charity here, say charity, which is this one that I'm working on here, this charity.id. Okay, I'm giving it this charity.id, and I'm assigning this new charity that I just created here. Okay, so that will make sure that I now have this charity added to this, saved in this mapping here. So after I've saved that in this mapping, I want to also say charity exists. Okay, the charity exists for this particular ID. We want to say that, okay, this particular ID of charity now exists. Call it true. All right, so with that, I have successfully created a charity. So this is how we create a charity. So in the next part of this video, I'm going to show you how to edit, and delete and some other functions that we're going to be writing. So I'll see you in the next section of this video. We've been able to create a charity. What I'm about to do for updating a charity, the function responsible for updating a charity, is just similar to the create charity function. We're just only going to change a few things about it. As a matter of fact, I feel like just duplicating this function. Okay, let me duplicate that function. All right, here we go. And we can say update charity. In order for us to update a charity, we're going to need the charity ID, because that is what makes it unique and distinguish it from others. So I'm going to say this. So call this ID. So this is the charity ID. Of course, you want to verify that such charity exists, okay? Because if it doesn't exist, you want to say not found. So I'm going to add that as one of the requirements by saying charity exists, and then I pass the ID. And if it's true, it will proceed. Otherwise, it will say charity not found. Exactly. So afterward, we also want to test that this person trying to update this charity is the owner, the creator of that charity. Otherwise, we say unauthorized entity. That's what we're saying. And we're saying here that msg.sender is equal to these charities, and then I target this ID and then call on the .owner. So I'm targeting these charities, passing the ID, and when it comes, I'm just comparing the owner if it's the same as the caller. If it is the same, it proceed. Otherwise, say unauthorized entity. Okay, so other than that, I don't want to increment any charity because we're not incrementing, all right? We're not doing that. I don't think we're not doing this either, Okay, so I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. These here, I'm not doing this. These are the things I'm just updating. I want to update the name, full name, description, image, profile, and amount. Those are the items I want to, update. Of course, I have to target these particular charities. Okay, that is what I'm targeting. I'm not targeting this right now. All right, so I'm going to remove this as well. So I'm going to just use this shortcut that VS Code provide. I'll call charities, and then I pass the ID of it. Okay, you see that charities.name, and then target the ID.name, and then update it with this, override the full name with that, and all of that. So these things I just did now, that is just all about the update of this charity. So with this, you'll be able to update a specific charity. All right. So the next thing I want to do is I will create another function. I'll just explain a function that I use for deleting a charity. So this is a function we delete a charity. All right. So it needs the charity ID, and it checks if the charity exists and if you are the creator of that charity. If true, the only thing it's just going to do is call on this dot deleted property, which is here, and toggle it to true. Okay, so once it's toggled to true, that particular charity has been marked as deleted. All right, so we need another function again called toggle ban, because this function is going to be called by the owner of the smart contract, the owner of the platform, and not just anybody. Okay, so I'm going to paste it here. Toggle ban takes an ID, and first of all, make sure that that particular charity exists. If it does exist, then we target that ban method, the ban property, and then just negate it, invert it. So if it's false before, it will become true, and if it is true before, it becomes false. So that is what we're simply doing here. Okay, so with this, we can come here and do some things to get some data about a charity. For example, I want to get a single charity. To get a single charity, which is what we do here, whenever we visit a unique page, we're getting just a single charity. All right. So to get that, you say get charity. You pass in the charity ID. It's public. This view is very important. That it has to be there. That modifier. What it does is return data for you. Okay. View returns. The data that is returning is of a type of charity struct, and it's going to be stored in the memory. All right. And then it returns it by just targeting that specific charity by that ID and returns it. So that is what that particular function does for a single charity. What about when we want to get multitude of charities? So all the charities in our platform, especially the ones that have not been deleted and are available. So I'm going to take my time to code this part for you so that you will see how the entire thing flows. So for example, I'm going to duplicate this. I'll call this get charities. All right, it doesn't need a parameter, and this should be an array of charities that it should return. I'll call this charities, but uppercase. Okay, so this is what we'll return. We're returning charities. Okay, I want to create an unsigned integer called available. This is going to keep track of the total number of available charities on our platform. Then we can use a for loop. Okay, a for loop to loop through the entire stuff. So for example, so I'm going to start from 1. Why I'm starting from 1 is because we're looping through the mappings function, the mappings array. Mapping is a little bit different from a regular array, okay, because mapping enables you to specify the index of a particular data, but array is always 0 to infinity. You understand? So I'm starting from I is starting from 1, and I is going to be less than or equal to, since I'm starting from 1, less than or equal to that total number of charities. dot, current. So current will give us where, the total number of index that are in that particular charity. So right now, I'm going to increase available plus by 1. But I don't just want to increase it by 1. I want to only increase it by 1 for each count if that charity has not been deleted, because I don't want to show deleted charity. If that charity has not been deleted and if it has not been banned, because if it is deleted, we don't want it to show up in the main page. And if it is banned, we don't want it to show up either. And also, if the amount that, maybe we'll keep that part. Okay, let's just work on this part first. So we say if certain conditions are met, let this be increased. So I'll say if here and put this here. So first of all, I want to say if charities, okay, passing that ID, say dot deleted. So we don't want a deleted charity, that is for sure. And this ID should be I, not the other one. All right. So we don't want a deleted charity, and we don't want a banned charity. So a deleted charity and a banned charity should not be returned. So I'm going to do banned. All right. So if it meets these two criteria, then this available should be increased by 1. All right. So after I've done this loop and I have an idea of how many number of available charities that I want to display, then I can do charities. Okay, I want to redefine the size of this array. Okay, charity is equal to new charity struct, and it's going to be an array. So I want to define the size of that array to be just exactly the available ones. So I'll say available. All right, so now I have a charity array that have a space that can contain all the available, charities that meet this condition. Now I'm going to loop through this again. All right, but this time I'm not incrementing available. What I'm doing is, for here, I'm going to copy this, paste it here, and call it index. And you're going to see why we're doing this a little bit soon. Here we don't need this. Okay, so at this point, we want to say this charity, we're targeting this charity array. Okay, charity at index, this starts from 0, right? So at index of 0 for the first time, whatever index it is, we want to just assign these charities. Okay, and then I pass this I here. So for each charity that meets this condition, I want to assign it into this, charities array here. But then at the end, you want to see this index, you want to increment it like this. Okay, you can do it this way, which is pretty cool, perfect. But you can make it shorter by you just saying, immediately after we get the first index, it should also automatically increment it by 1. So this will just match what we want at the same time. So this is how you get, all the charities on this platform. And let's just do one extra, okay? Because we don't only want to get charities, we want to also get your specific charities that are yours specifically, like the caller's charity. So I want to say get my charity. Is going to take the same thing, but the condition will just, be a little bit different to accommodate for that. I want to add an extra condition, which is this charity, okay? These charities that I'm targeting, the owner should be equal to what? msg.sender. See, if we do this, we can break this into, we can break this into multiple lines. Okay, so, let's keep it this way. So we'll do this as well here. See, and ampersand. So we're combining this condition. So at this time, we're only getting for people unique individuals charity. So all the charity you created will be the one that will be returned based on the address that you're calling, the address that you're calling from. All right. So this is how you get the various charities, from this platform. So in the next part of this tutorial, I'm going to start, having people donate to us, and after the donation, we'll be able to get, the supporters and the rest of the functions that are required, in this particular tutorial. So I'll see you in the next video. So let's create a function called donate. Okay, this function called donate, okay, will be responsible for receiving money from all our donors online. Of course, you want this function to have which ID, the charity ID that it's supposed to donate to. All right, we need string memory, the full name of the person that is donating, and their comment, okay, their word of support, which is just a comment. So we say comment. Okay, so these are the information that we need about to donate, you understand? And not only that, this should be public, of course, and this should be payable. Payable, we make sure that people don't call this contract without money. You understand? You call it with money. And the first thing you want to do to ensure that, you're calling the right charities, to make sure that that charity does exist. So this ID will first of all check that it exists. And if it does, we also want to check that it's not been banned, you understand? Because if it is banned, then, it should not be, we don't want it banned, that is just it. Okay, provided that it's not banned, we can, work with it. All right, so I'm going to say require that this charity is not banned, charity ban, contact admin, because only the admin can revert that, decree that has gone forth for that charity organization. All right, so we want to make sure that the money that is being sent is, is a little bit bigger than 0 Ether. So what do I mean by that? Since this is payable, that means there is a certain global variable called it's called msg.value. It captures the amount of money that is being sent along with this transaction that calls this function. All right, so we want to say donation amount cannot be 0, or donation cannot be 0. Say donation cannot be 0. Okay, and lastly, you want to ensure that, people, the charity get exactly what they are asking for. So you want to see, because we have this property called raised. Raised is the amount of money that has been raised for this charity. Meanwhile, this amount is the specific amount that they wanted. Okay, so we're using this to check that the raised amount is still smaller than the amount that has been specified for them to raise. You understand what I mean? So this is the amount that they specified that they want to raise, and this is how much they've raised so far. So if this one is, provided that this one is smaller than this, then we can proceed. But the moment that this is bigger than this, it stops, the donation. So that's basically what I mean, with that little illustration that I just showed you. So afterward, you want to increment the number. Remember, we've done this before. This is basically just calibrating it, the total number of donation, which we specified here. We want it to be increased by 1, because by default, it's going to be 0. All right? So after you've done this, you want to create a support variable, a support struct variable, because this variable will be used to create support. You understand? and you want to specify that the support ID is going to be the current one. Okay, so it's the support.id is going to be the current one after this incrementation. Okay, so now after you've done this, you want to fill up the rest of the information. So I'm going to do this here. So these are the rest of the information that needs to be filled. So the full name, opacity here, the comment, opacity here. The amount is going to be msg.sender. So however donation, whatever donation that person made to us, is going to be passed here and stored here as recorded there. Sorry. So the timestamp is basically the current timestamp, which is what we're using here. Okay, and at the end, you want to push this into this support array. So you want to see this called, let me close this. So this thing called supporters of is a mapping, and we want to push that supporter into the supporters array here. Okay, supporters of that particular charity. We want to add that person into it. So to do that, we can say that supporter of these, this ID here, which is this charity ID. You want to say dot push. The push method will be available to read since it's an array. Okay, dot push. What are we pushing? We're pushing this support here. Okay, this one we created here. We'll push it in here. So after we're done pushing, we want to say that charities, and target the ID, and we want to say raised. We want to increase that raise by the amount msg dot value that was passed, and also want to say the donations. Okay, because it also has the property that marks donation, which is the number of times that people have donated. Want to increase it by 1. Okay, so we increase the number of donation by 1 as well. So after you've done with this, we need to send the money to the charity organization that just received this donation, and also charge our fee. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of mathematics here, which is just some computation calculations. So the fee, okay, is this msg value multiplied by the tax, the tax percent. The charity tax is can be 1 to 100, even though I didn't enforce that in this constructor, but it is required that whatever you're specifying should be within the range of 1 to 100. But of course, you're not here to, rob the charity organization of their money. So what I would say is that whatever percentage that you're specifying should not be more than 10%. You understand? It should be within 10%, maybe 5%, or highest 7%. So we get the percentage fee. So this is the percentage of however amount that was donated, and then this is the payment that is supposed to go to the charity organization by subtracting the fee. Okay, after you've done this, we want to now wire the money to the organization, and in order to wire that money to such organization, we have a function called payto. This function receives the address of a person you want to send money to and the amount that you want to send money to, and then performs a low-level call transfer of fund, okay, to that specific, people. And once that is successful, it will say success. Otherwise, it will revert. You understand? So this ensures that the money doesn't just goes away or disappears. If this procedure fails, it will revert that particular transaction. So the entire function will be reverted. So that is the advantage of using, a much more error safe transfer mechanism, such as, because once that money goes and is not well taken care of, you can get it back. All right. So now let's pay. Say pay to. We're sending payment to. This charity owner, the people of this charity. So say id.owner. So we're sending money to that owner. And how much are we sending? We're sending this payment here, not payable, payment. This is what we're sending to that. And we're also sending money to us as well. So how do we know which one is us? The deployer of the smart contract can be captured by this thing called owner. You get, so owner here captures that particular address, and then the fee is what you're sending. Okay, so at this point, this access control, I really don't know what we're using it for, so let me remove it for now because it doesn't have any use case here so far. So, but if it does have, we'll bring it up back. So at this point, we've been able to create this donation function, which is very, very instrumental. But to complete it, we want to pair it up with the function that will enable us to get all the donations of a specific charity. So for example, you see that these are all the donations of a specific charity. That is why we're putting it here, okay? So let's come back here, and we will do, we'll do something such as this get single charity. We did something similar to this, so I'm going to copy this and paste it here. So I'll call it get supporters. Okay, passing the charity ID, and is returning a support struct, but an array of it. Okay, and we're targeting these supporters of, and then just returning all those supporters. So basically, that is what you need to do to get all the supporters of this particular charity. So we kind of done with this. It's just one more function that we need to add. Very simple function. So this function just helps us to, moderate our tax percentage. So in case in the future you want to change your tax percentage, you can use this function called change tax. You specify the new tax that you want to add, and then you say public. So please pay attention here. Here right now, you see this only owner is coming from this ownable, is an access modifier. Okay, it's basically just make sure that only the owner of the smart contract can call this function. If you're not the one that deployed the smart contract, you will not be able to call this particular function. So that is what this is protecting us, for. So with that said, we are requiring that the new tax that you're about to send to us, that you're about to update, is is greater than 0, yet is less than what? 100. Okay, and the percentage must be between 0 and 1, should be between 1 and 100. You understand? So, and then if that criteria is passed, it will update the tax percentage, and then the new tax will be what the platform will be charging per every donation that happens on the platform. So with that said, we are just about done. We're done with this smart contract. So in the next part, we will proceed toward testing, deployment, and all of that. But I don't want to make this tutorial too long for the YouTube folks. So this part of testing and all that will be validated in the subsequent. That is for those that are in Dapp Mentors. So, but it's going to be free. So anybody just need to register and you can get it for free. You can watch that part for free on Dapp Mentors, but it's not going to be on sales or anything. It's going to be absolutely free on Dapp Mentors. So you can watch it on that platform right there. Okay, for free. So I'm going to run a compilation order. I want to compile this to see that everything, it obeys the syntax and we're not missing out on any syntax error. So to do that, we're using Hardhat. Hardhat makes it possible for us. So let's come back here and run this command, yarn Hardhat compile. And if there is any error, it's going to flag it off, but I don't think there is any error here. So all the codes, the logics are correct. But this is just syntax, compilation stuff. It doesn't mean that this is just absolutely correct. It's when you're testing it out, writing tests. This is why I encourage test-driven development, and you should watch that aspect so that you understand how to test your smart contract much efficiently. because this test, once you finish this test, you don't have to worry about the front end, so you just proceed with integration. And so in that aspect, I'm going to teach both, testing of the smart contract and seeding the smart contract as well. And then we proceed to integration. Otherwise, we'll proceed to integration in the next video. Okay, now that we have the smart contract coded, of course, I'm sure you will not understand how we coded this seed and this deploy smart contract, including all these tests. Okay, please visit the academy, Dapp Mentors Academy. It's free right there. Watch that part. I don't want to include it here because it's good. It will elongate the time altogether. I don't want this to be too large. You understand? So that's why you have to watch this on that platform there. So you register, watch and level up and understand how we coded the entire smart contract and tested it. We even actually did some modifications on the smart contract because obviously there are some things that are not, up to the exact point that we needed them. So we have this thing, there. So the smart contract is up and ready. If you've not started your blockchain server, you can do that from scratch. Say yarn had that, node. You spin up your blockchain server and then, you run yarn had run scripts /deploy.js. You run that. This is very important in all, the various in this entire series, all the courses in this series. You need to do this exact aspect that I'm, including. It's very, very important. This part, you did not watch this part on YouTube where we tested the smart contract and seeded it and deployed it. So now the script is ready. So you can head to dappmentors.org and register. Then you see it in the academy for free, and you watch it and get leveled up. We don't want to forget to run, that is yarn, the same thing, but the seed, which enables us to, populate our smart contract with some dummy data. You don't want to miss that part. It's very important. So you run this script again, and it's going to put all the codes, all those dummy codes into the smart contract so that we can be able to work with it on the front end without having to start creating from scratch. But we also do create so that you will see how everything comes together. Let me see in the next part of this video. All right, now that we have the smart contract deployed on the network and data seeded on it, okay, so the next step that we need to do is to start hooking up the various functions that are in the smart contract to the front end. In order to achieve this in a clean format, in a way that will not have your codes littered all over the front end and making it look hard to maintain and untidy, you have to use a blockchain service. And that is why in all my tutorial, have like a script named the blockchain service that just kind of serve as an intermediary between, the smart contract and the smart contract and then the interface. So to get that going, I'm going to come here. I'm going to do something first. Let me say yarn dev. Let's run it on the browser and see how it goes so far. Okay, so at this point, this information is coming from the blockchain. It's not coming from the blockchain. These are still randomly generated, package items. So what we want to do is to display the one coming from the blockchain. And in order to do that, we need a blockchain service. Okay, so I will need you to first commit this, say, seeded contracts. Okay, so let's have that taken care of. So now I need, at the bottom of this page, I need to come to this services folder, create a new file, call it blockchain.tsx, okay, for TypeScript. And for this, I'm going to just copy and paste some of these items for now. So here we are. Okay, this is iter.js that is actually coming from the iter's library. This is not coming from Haddad. Okay, you have this address, the location of it is accurate, so we're good with the address of the smart contract. Like if I click on this, it reveals the address of the smart contract for me. And we have this Dapp found ABI. You know, I normally just would like calling this an ABI, and we can go through this again, say slash dappfundx slash this one, dappfundx.json. So we have the ABI of the smart contract, and we have the address of the smart contract as well. Those two are very important. We'll need two functions. We've used it before. It's called toWe and fromWe, but this time they are in TypeScript versions. Okay, so we use that to convert values from and toWe. And we'll need two variables called Ethereum and TX. Ethereum, we hold the Ethereum object. For example, when we are on the browser, when we're using the browser, we're connected and there is MetaMask installed on the browser. That means there is an injected Web3 provider, such as a browser-based Web3 provider, such as MetaMask or Trust Wallet installed on our browser. Then we can utilize this Ethereum object. Otherwise, we'll use the JSON RPC method, which we only use that to fetch data from the blockchain. All right, this TX is for transaction. We'll use this to store the value of transaction for every request that we'll make to the backend, especially the write requests. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to ensure that using this line of code, we want to ensure that this window is loaded. Okay, type of window is not equal to undefined. So the browser is loaded. Okay, otherwise we should do if the browser is loaded, then we should get the Ethereum object that is injected by a Web3 provider, and we'll store it in this Ethereum here. So that is basically what this is about. Okay, because if there is no windows loaded, that means the browser is not fully loaded, then this doesn't happen. So it's an if condition. So we're going to need a function. This function is very, very important. We call it get Ethereum object. So this get Ethereum contract retrieves the contract for us, an instance of the contract. It retrieves an instance of the contract. And then we have account. Okay, now that we have, before we'll be able to speak to this contract, we need the wallet address of whomever is trying to communicate to the smart contract. So I noticed that with Next.js backend infrastructure, it enables you to not rely on MetaMask connection before you can read data, which is a big thing, a big deal, and it works very smoothly for MetaMask. I mean, you can do it with React as well, but it won't be as smooth as this, because with Next.js you can do front-end rendering, server-side rendering, sorry. You can do server-side rendering and grab the value, the result at the back end, and then you display it on the front end when the server fully loads, which is a big advantage because you're using Next.js. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to say await this Ethereum object. Okay, if it does exist, okay, we want to call the request method if it is yet available, and we want to call this method called ETH request accounts ETH accounts. This is because if you're already connected, if you've connected your wallet before on a particular website, then it will just grab you the wallet address that you are currently connected with. Okay, but here I want to do, if that account, if we found, because it's an array of accounts, okay, so if it does return an account that is at least greater than 0, that means it found an account that is connected. That means your wallet address has been connected. If it does find that, the first thing I want to do is to grab the provider. I'm grabbing the provider okay, by calling this new ethers.browser provider. It's different from the recent ethers 5 point something and so on. Is ethers 6 point something. In ethers 6 point something and above, ethers 6. Where are you? Okay. In ethers 6, you can see that this version 6.7 and above. You call injected providers, you actually use browser provider, because it could be MetaMask, it could be Trust Wallet, it could be every other wallet that does, browser injection. All right. So we are doing that, and we're wrapping it around this Ethereum object. Okay. So the browser provider. So we are basically this is an adapter. So the particular wallet provider, the injected wallet, we're just wrapping it around with this browser provider here. So it gives it a handle. So in our transaction, we can be able to utilize this and perform transaction under the hood. All right. So with that said, you need a signer. A signer is the person that is, is the wallet address connected to it, because this is how the blockchain recognizes the wallet address that is calling a function or that is performing a transaction. All right. So you say signer is await this provider dot get signer. Okay. The get signer is going to return the address of whomever was connected to this particular page website. Now that you get that, the next thing you want to do is the contract. You want to say contract is not equal to new ethers. Okay, you're calling the contract method, and in the contract method you want to pass in the address. The address dot. This is the address. Is coming from here. You want to pass in the contract address. After you pass the contract address, you want to pass the ABI. Okay, so ABI.ABI. Okay, and you want to also pass the signer. So all those values are important. And at the end, you want to return this contract. Okay, this is great. This is how you take care of it for browser-based connection. So this set of rules we only apply provided that you have your wallet address connected. MetaMask, this application is going to utilize that MetaMask relationship or Trust Wallet relationship to perform these operations. Okay, but if it is not so, if you don't have anything connected, then it's going to use the RPC method. Okay, we design it this way because we want to be very dynamic, want to be very flexible. We don't want to, be bound to a certain method. So we can say this provider, instead of having this provider this way, we're going to say provider is equal to new, instead of new ether, instead of browser base, is going to be JSON RPC provider. JSON RPC provider. And we're not using this Ethereum object. We're going to be using process.env. Remember, we had that, env variables. And what we're using is this env called next public underscore RPC URL, which will point to the URL of our blockchain. Okay, the URL of our blockchain, that is what it's pointing to, and the URL of our blockchain is this. This is the location. This is the value of that RPC. Okay, so now that we have that, the next thing, we want to create a signer. Okay, and since this is anything that is done in this side is going to be server-to-server communication. That means we don't have browser based injection. We don't have any wallet address that we can reference to. Then we want to create a fake wallet address because you need that to be able to communicate with the blockchain. So you want to say const, you want to say const. We can just paste this. We can say wallet is equal to this ethers.js. There is a method called .wallet, and then .create random. This create random will create random wallet for you. Okay, that's what it is. So for each request, it's going to be having a different wallet address. And after you've done that, to get the signer, it's going to be a little bit different than how you got the signer here. You get the signer by saying this signer is going to be this wallet dot connected to this provider, this JSON RPC provider. Okay, this wallet that you just created, you are connecting it to this JSON RPC provider, and there you have it. With that in place, you can basically just paste the rest of this here. You see that? So everything works just the same. So the only difference is between this one and this one is just these 3 lines of code. So, but that makes the entire difference in this particular development. So now with that done, we want to get all charities. Okay. Currently, charities are being fetched from the random, lead generated one, but now I want to get the one that comes from the blockchain. So we create a variable, a function, call it get my charity. I think we should get charity first. So get charities. Okay, in getting charities, going to be an asynchronous function, an asynchronous arrow-based function. Okay, so this is how you create your function by default, but we're going to touch it up a little bit. We're saying that it's going to be a type of a promise. Okay, so it returns a promise basically, and the promise is going to be charity structure, an array of charity struct that is going to return as promise. Okay, so that's what we're saying here. So now we need to return a value. To return a value, we want to say const. This contract, we're going to use what? Await, then get Ethereum contract. See that? That is very important. After I get the Ethereum contract, I want to say const charities, okay, is equal to await, this contract, this Ethereum contract dot get get charities. Okay, so you call the charities method, then you simply return these charities. Okay, so this is how you grab all those things from the blockchain. There is one more step that needed to be taken care of here. The step is that the values that are coming from the blockchain, they are not well streamlined. So we want to structure them properly. To structure them properly, I've designed a function called structured charities, and it kind of cleans up this and makes sure that they come in a very orderly format. You understand? So to do that, we can say that we have a function called const structured charities, and it's going to return, it's going to accept charities as an array. Charities, the type is what? Charity struct, an array of it. And of course, it's going to also return an array of charities. Okay, after it's done. Now, these charities that it has accepted, we want it to map through it. So we want to say charities dot map, because it's an array, right? For every charity that is inside here. Okay, I want to do this. Okay, want to return an object. Okay, this object is going to contain the value. So for example, the ID, I want to convert it to number, because when the ID is coming in a big int data type. So I want to convert it to number, because that is the version of the data type that I want to use it at. We also have these strings. Strings can just stay the same, so it doesn't make much difference. So we have full name, image, profile. So we also want to change this. This is the donation. So how many number of times people have donated, we want that to be number. We want this to called, this is raised and this is amount. So this raised this amount of money that has been raised so far, and this amount is the amount of money that was was stipulated, on the initial time that charity was created. So what is happening here is we are this number is in we format, and big int. Basically, we don't understand it, so we want to convert it from that Ethereum version to a number that we can easily understand, and then we are passing it to float because it's a floating point. Okay, so after we've done that, we then supply the rest of this. Okay, so supply the rest of it. So these are all the values that are needed to do this. Okay, so again, this is ban, it's a Boolean key, deleted is a Boolean key. You have timestamp, which is a number. Okay, so at this point, you want to sort this array, want to sort it by timestamp. Want the recently created charity to be at the top. That is what we're doing by this line of code now. So at this point, we can then wrap this charity around these particular structured charities. Are you seeing how it's flowing? Then I want to do the same thing for get my charity. Okay, so get my charities. Okay, have the same thing. And lastly, I want to do the same thing for get charity. Okay, singular, get charity. So in get charity, what you need for get charity is an ID. Okay, so you say ID is type of what? Number. And it's supposed to return a single instance of charity. So here, I want to say it should return a charity and get charity. Okay, then you pass that ID. Okay, this structure charity, you pass this in here. But we don't want to return an array of it. So, and what we're passing is basically one instance. So we want to put it like an array because it's required there. And here we want to return just a single value. So we're returning the first element of that array, so that we fulfill this criteria here. So at this point, we want to export this because we cannot utilize it outside of here except it is exported. So we'll come here and say export get charities, get my charities, and get charity. So you need all these main bars exported. At this point, this is great. So we can jump into the first page, like the home page. Okay, instead of generating random charities, we're going to call our blockchain. We're going to retrieve it from a blockchain. We're going to say get charities, which is coming from the blockchain. You understand? So you can see that I'm importing that from the blockchain service now. I can remove this fake one. So when I save that, come here. So you see, I just refresh this now. You see that these things are coming from the blockchain, and you see that they will never change. Look at this last two images. They're going to be the same when I refresh them. You can see they are obviously the same. This is great. But when you come here, okay, this is still being randomly generated. So let's fix that. So you see a new name. Now let's come to this code. We come to the single charity here. So I will say, instead of generate charity, we want to say await get charity. Okay, single one. You understand? So this type of any, okay, we don't want to delete that. Okay, so now this is going to just grab us the real charity data and supply it. So we save that, and let's refresh this. I can see nervous, lead damage, blah blah blah. Refresh again, the same thing. So this is the real data that is coming from the blockchain now. Okay, so at this point, we're good here. What about my charities? When you come here, my charities, these are still being randomly generated. So let's go to that project here. This place, instead of randomly generating here, we're going to come here, just copy this line of code here, come to this place, replace it, make sure that you have it imported here. All right, and you can remove this, save that. also make sure that you remove this one here as well. So at this point, let's go back and refresh. So it's saying that, okay, I really don't see any valuable reason why this contract was initially failing, but it seemed to have worked out on its own. Like, I've not done anything different here. Let me remove this. Okay, so this is all that we had before. So I'm gonna like refresh this to make sure that everything works. Refresh. Okay, everything seems to be working. I'm just trying to understand what may have happened that it was producing those errors, but it seemed to be fine now. Okay, but this particular place, this is where you'll be able to see your individual charities that you created, the one that you created yourself. So at this point, I'm going to test it out by connecting my wallet. So I'm going to connect with this MetaMask wallet, the one that I used to put in some charities. So refresh this. You should see your this is the wrong account. Need to disconnect from this. Disconnect from this. I need to switch to this here and refresh. Connect that wallet as well. Don't know why it's slowing. All right, so this is it here. This is my charities that were created under this particular account. So because I'm connected with my MetaMask, it's reading it from my own account. But the moment that I disconnect from this, and if I should refresh, I lose that data because this app doesn't have information. It doesn't have information about who owns that particular charity anymore. So it only brings it out if you're the owner, if your wallet address matches the one on the blockchain. All right, so with that said, we'll see you in the next part of this video where we start working on other aspects of this application. All right, so before I close up on all these items, I want to come back to this place. We still had something that we haven't completed yet. So these supporters are still being randomly generated. So for example, if you click on this one has 5 supporters. Okay. Right here, it says 5 donations, right? But you can see that obviously we have more than 5 donations here because those ones are randomly being generated. So we don't want it to be randomly generated. So we can come here and create another script, that will assist us to get the supporters of a specific charity. So I think the best we can use is this. Let's duplicate this function. Okay, we're going to call it get supporters. Okay, and in getting supporters, you want to return an array of supporters struct. All right, so please pay attention. We need to go back to the contract and copy the get supporters exactly how the name is because it wasn't properly spelled here and I don't have time to redeploy, rechange everywhere where it is. So get supporter. So we're going to use it like so right here, but this get supporter will be accurate. All right, so this is supposed to return a structured supporter. So we need to do something similar to what we did for structured charities. So we'll come here. This thing we did similar for structured charities. We're going to do it for structured supporters. Okay, so we have structured supporters receiving an array of supporters, and then I think we can just let's leave it how it is, call support. So right now, and then at the end, it just sort it out, make sure that the most recent support stays at the very top. All right, so I'm going to come here, copy that, and change this. I need to change this as well. Call this supporters. All right, and paste this here. Remove that. So this is what we should get. Now with this supporters retrieve, let's make it exportable member. Save that. Come to this place. So instead of generating supporters, you can just call this, say await, and you import it, of course, and make sure that you're passing this ID into it. You can remove this fake data now and save. Come here and now let's refresh this. You can see that this is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 donations, exactly the ones coming from the blockchain. You understand? So this is cool. This is cool. Okay, so one of the things I want to adjust here or address in this particular project is this issue that seemed to be an issue, but it wasn't, because when I developed this, I developed it in a very large screen, so I didn't account for the variation. What I mean by this is my MacBook, display, and it's really large, but the screen size is just 13.5, but the resolution is like 2000 something. So at this point, it's kind of shrinking this display and making it look not so cool, like, we didn't design it properly. So I'm going to adjust the width here. So for example, I'll come to this place. Where is it? I'll come here. Okay, I want to adjust this. This should be 4/5. Okay, I'm going to do this for all the places it appears. So at 4/5, you see how this is well expanded. I want to do the same for the header as well. So we'll come to the header component, and change this to 4/5. And when you do that, you see this is well expanded as well. And lastly, the footer. Okay, the footer currently, you can see how it is shrinking. So let's expand it properly, give it some breathing space. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this here as well. Paste that, save, and all of that should be well expanded now. So that is one of the things I want to address before we even jump into editing. Currently you can edit, so let's do that in the next set of videos. Now let me show you something. Because I'm the owner of this particular charity, I have the ability to edit it. But if it's a different person, how we designed it was that this charity will not give you the option of editing or deleting that charity. Okay, so at this point, I want to come here to this edit. This is what happened. I want to show you something before, because I feel like I had made some changes to it. So let me show you what I changed a little bit. In this edit place, what we had before was this, where this was just randomly being generated, like it was not the real data that is coming from the blockchain. So we needed to change that. So how you resolve this place, currently, if you have been following me, you will be in the same page as me, is to get that unique charity, exactly the same one coming from the blockchain. And how you get it is, you can just do exactly the same thing as here. You copy this line. I'm going to close this. Yeah, and then you come here and paste it. You just need to import this from the blockchain, and you can remove this fake data, the one that we're automatically generating. So at this point, when you refresh, it will always give you the right data and not have to, generate new one for you. Okay, so at this point, this is cool. but we needed to write a function that will enable us to perform, the editing / deleting / so on and so forth. And to get that going, let's write a function calling it, we call it update charity. So const update charity. So of course it's going to be an asynchronous arrow function. So this asynchronous arrow function will pass in charity, and the type of this charity is going to be charity param. So because these are parameters that we want to use to update. So the parameters are all the things that you have in this form. It's not the entire thing about a charity, but just the parameters, okay? So we need the parameters, and thank God we actually added an optional ID key there, which will be useful for us without having to enforce it, okay? So these are the things that we're using for charity params, so you know. And it should return a promise, a void promise, okay? So we say void, okay? So that is what it should return. And the first step we want to do is take care of is if there is no Ethereum object. So if there is no Ethereum object like we created before, okay, this Ethereum object, how you determine if it exists or not is this line of code. So if there is no Ethereum object, that means MetaMask or Trust Wallet or some other wallet provider is not installed on your browser. Then it should say that what? It should report error. We're using a default function that comes with JavaScript called report error to just say, please install a browser provider. And then not only that, it has to return a promise that we want to use in rejecting. So because this is an asynchronous function, I want to say return a promise, a rejected promise. Okay, promise.reject, and then you pass a new error object, and then you say browser provider not installed. Browser provider not installed. Okay, so this is a necessary check, and subsequently we'll just copy and paste this rule here in our subsequent functions. So let's say try catch now. So we try, and catch. So if there is any error, want that error to be reported and want this to be rejected with this promise, with the promise of the error. Great. So now I want to say const, you create the contract, you get the contract instance. So you say await get Ethereum contract. So, and then you want to, we can literally just come to this script. There was a place that we worked on this before, this create charity, and you can copy this whole thing here. You can copy it from here to here, and you will not be wrong. You may be, but you will not be wrong. So, so a charity is being passed here, and it is saying that that amount is either number or string, and it needs it to be number. So by default, we need to convert this to number first. So let's say number, great, and then you have that together. So this is good, except we need one extra thing called the ID, okay? And we are actually updating, not creating. So update charity. So all this information are coming from this place, and this TX is because of this provision here. Okay, so at this point, we are good to go. Okay, so we can return a promise. Return, because we need to return that promise. Say return promise, call it resolve, not reject. This is the only place that it should resolve. It should resolve with this transaction. Okay, so it should resolve with that transaction. And now we can, make that an exportable member, and then let's hook it up in this edit function here where we're editing, okay, which is here. I can close here. So this is where we're editing. Okay, so we'll delete this. You see, this handle submit, make sure that all these parameters are, provided, the charity name, full name, none of them are empty. All of them are provided. If there is any one of them that is empty, it will not submit this form. I will also making sure that you have your wallet connected already. And if it's not connected, you will not be allowed to update this. So at this point, this is where we want to hook this thing up in this promise. Okay, we want to call on that update charity function. Okay, and then we pass this charity here, this charity that we're getting from the form. Okay, so this charity here that we've modified, we want to pass it down here, and we want to say put a then statement dot then. This tx, this is what we received from here when it is resolved. This is what we passed as resolved, so we can receive it here. Then you want to say if it is success, you want to say console.log, and you're logging out this transaction. Okay, and you can, we don't need this here, this ID. You can, we do need it. Let's keep it there. So we can use this router to navigate to the page that we were before. That is the page, the main page of this particular article. So we can say router.push. What you're pushing is, you're pushing into this edit, not edit, like donations. Watch this, donations / and then you add plus ID. Okay, yeah, you can do this. You can do this, or you can also do charity.id. Charity.id. Okay, so you can do both. All right, and after you've done this, you can now do resolve with that transaction. Okay, but you can also catch any error. If there is any error, you want to catch it. I want to say error. I want to say reject with that error. So at this point, this is how it is. And when we do this correctly, this should update our post. So at this point, let's just refresh this and let's give it a title. Let's call it Save the Baby Orphanage. Great. By, is it Teresa? No. Thomas Jenkins. Okay, we'll call it 16.5, and the rest of this remains the same for now. Please pay attention. We often have this issue where I don't know if I should try this first. So this is having an issue right here. It's not allowing, because this has been configured in such a way that the image link URL must end with either a .png, a .dat, or a .jpeg or so. It's not allowing me to submit this, so I have to modify this a little bit, okay, to make sure that that .png and all of that are optional and are not enforced. Okay, so this is how it is right now, but I want to update it to something like this. Look, this is how it is. Now I'm updating to this. So this is optional, so it will not force me to put that whole thing together, to put the .png or whatever. Okay, so I'm going to say update now. You can see approve transaction, and I click confirm. It's giving me an error. It's saying could not. So one of the things that you should learn to do is to just come here, and let's say we we say reset. We reset this wallet, the activities of this wallet. You need to reset it. Okay, so there's no more activities. Let's try it again. Confirm, and you see that it was updated, and you can see this thing was straight up. So when you're developing on hard hat localhost, you should learn to clear all those your activities from your MetaMask wallet, because they often produce some unnecessary errors. But when you're on a live chain, it doesn't seem to do that. But this, because you're constantly shutting down your hard hat server and turning it on back, between projects and all of that, it produces those sort of nonce error. Okay, so you learn how to update it. So we're good here. We're really good. So at this point, there is something that I want to modify here. You see, in this original wallet configurations, I added Polygon, Matic, I added Sepolia test network, and so far and so on. Okay, I need to add Bitfinity here. To add Bitfinity, I need to configure that chain separately. Okay, so this is how you do it. You come to the provider, this provider here. Okay, I'm going to provide you with the Bitfinity configuration. All right, so at this point, this is Bitfinity configuration, and it's coming from a type of what? This chain. This chain is coming from Rainbow Kit. Okay, that is where the chain is coming from, Rainbow Kit here. And the ID of this chain is Bitfinity. This is their ID, 355113. And the name of this chain is Bitfinity. Network is Bitfinity. This is the logo. This is the background, which is black. This is the native currency, the RPC URL, the block explorer, and is a testnet. Okay, so I set up all these things this way. And with this set up this way, you can then come to rewrite this. I have mainnet, Polygon, Sepolia, and hard hat, but now I'm going to remove Sepolia and hard hat, and I'll put Bitfinity, the one I just created above here. Okay, so this is just the only thing that I have to do. Save this and refresh. Then you can see that I have Bitfinity here. I have hard hat and all that. I've removed the other ones. But of course, I also want to remove them here because they are not useful anymore to me here in this project. So this is just a little bit of a modification that you have to, employ, to make sure that we are in synchronized to this. Okay. So at this point, we had successfully be able to edit, posts. Okay. So in the next tutorial, or in the next video, in the next section of this video, I will show you how to, create charity from scratch. Okay, right now you can, edit, but you have to also update. I'll show you in the next video. So to create a charity, let's just duplicate this because they're going to have similar properties. So we're going to say, create charity. So it also receives a charity params. Okay, the same thing here. The difference is here. So call this create charity. You don't need this ID, okay, for creating a charity. So that is all you need to do to be able to create a charity, and it will send it to the right function in our smart contract. Now let's make this an exportable member. All right, so you save this. You then come to this page here called create. Okay, this create page. This is where we handle the creation. Of course, it follows the same syntax. What we're doing here is we're checking that all the items that are coming from the form, they have values, and their values are not empty. See, I'm going to do this as well here. Okay, so I'm going to copy this pattern so that we'll not have a repeated case. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that this pattern is enforced. So at this place here, I will remove this and call on the create charity function coming from the blockchain, and then I'll pass this charity inside of it. Then a then statement, retrieving the transaction, and inside of here, I want to, after a successful creation, I want to reset the form. I want to log out the transaction, okay, and I want to resolve this with this transaction here. So, but if there is any problem, of course, I want to catch error and just reject with it, with that error. So this is what it takes for me to create a charity. You get it? So at this point, when I come here, I come to create charity. I want to actually create this charity using a different account, since I've not been doing that with a different account. So let's come here, let's use this, connect with this, and of course you need to authenticate this back, sign in so it's authenticated. Please, okay, if you come to my charities, you find out that this person doesn't have any charity yet. Okay, so I want to come to create charity, and before I can create a charity, please, whenever you see a fresh account like this, on Hadat, you always need to reset its activity first, so that if there is any errors, anything that will obstruct you from successfully doing this, it will not be an issue to you. So let's enter in some data here, okay? I'm going to GoFundMe right now to get some looking data to support this, to make it look much more serious. All right, so let's call this support Lopez and family. Okay, so let's have that, support Lopez and family. So let's just say these people are, Lopez. I don't know who the Lopez is, but so I'm trying to find out their name. I didn't see their name, so let me just say this is their name. Okay, I think I found it. So this is the name. All right, and let's just say about they want $400,000. Okay, so let's just go with 20 ethers. All right, and the image URL. Well, let's just use this. This is the image URL. I don't know if this image works though, but I have to test it out, because before you use an image, I always test it out if it works. So this is the image URL I was given. Okay, it does work. So this is it. And their LinkedIn profile, you can just use any. For now, I'm just going to use a dummy stuff. Okay, I'm just going to use a dummy stuff, but you can, specify a person's profile URL. Okay, and then for description, you can just write something really simple, like, dear supporters, a lot of things you have to say, then you say it. Okay, at this point, you click on create and list. All right, so this tells you everything you need to do. You click on confirm, and it see that has been created. When you come to my charities, you have that listed here. Great. When you come to the home page, you have that listed here as well. So this is how people can, start donating to you and all of that. Okay, so this is good so far. So in the next video now, what I want to show you is how to, click the donate button and actually donate money, donate ethers and all of that. So in the next video, I'm going to show you that in action. So at this point, we're able to create edit. Great. There are other things that makes up this particular so there are other features that makes up this particular application. So let me refresh this. Okay. So for example, we should be able to delete and ban some charities. So for example, this one here, when you delete and ban, okay, the money is being reverted. Sorry, it's not reverted. Okay, so this particular charity is removed from circulation, so it will no longer be seen here. It cannot be accessed because it's been deleted, so it could no longer receive new donations and all of that. And of course, how you ban a charity if it's yours is just by clicking here. So let me change to this. Okay. Yep. So this account, then verify that wallet because it's already connected. Okay. See, we have edit charity and delete charity. Okay. So we'll later introduce something that will help us, perform some banning. Okay. So for now, I want to be able to test out the ability to delete, charity. Okay. So let's get that together. The first step you need to do is, let's commit this, say create charity. So the first step you need to do is come to this interface right here, and let's duplicate this one. Duplicate this, update charity, change it to delete charity. And in deleting charity, you need just an ID, which is of a type of a number. Okay, and all these are going to be unnecessary, so I'm going to do this ID, the rest are unnecessary. Okay, and I will call this delete charity. So this is what this function does, and the same thing goes for banning a charity. Just change this into ban charity. Okay, and let's visit that function. It's called, the name of the function is called toggle charity. Where are you? Toggle charity. Here we go. So I'm going to change this to toggle charity. So at this point, we can add that to this export table members and also toggle charity. Ban charity. So we have those exportable members which we can then use in our application. So this is where most of those things are needed, not in edit. So you come to this single charity. You come to this single charity right here, and there's a component. This component is this nav button. Okay. Inside the nav button, we have various, like this delete charity. We can hook up a function that enables us to delete charity. Okay, so I'm going to come here. I could help myself by, I could go to one of the previous stuff we did, which in this case, this particular function called handle submit. I will just copy it because I don't want to code everything from scratch, paste it here. I'm going to, of course, remove these. I'll call it handle delete. I will remove these. Okay. I will import this toast from React Toast. Okay, and then at the end, we change this information to charity deleted successfully. So I don't even think this is the place that we're supposed to put all this, so I'm going to go back. So here is not the place we need to put it. We need to put it in this component called delete. This is the component where we need to put it exactly right here. So this is the delete component where I need to, perform a deletion. So at this point, I will do delete charity. Okay, this is a function that I'm calling from this place. Okay, this blockchain service, this delete charity that we created, right here. So we're calling it here, and we're passing the charity, .id. So the ID of the charity, we're passing it there, and then using our then statement, this is a transaction that is being returned, and you want to log out the transaction, TX, and after you log it out, you want to resolve with TX as well. Now, if this was not successful, you want to catch this error, and you want to log it out as well. No, you want to resolve with that error. No, reject with that error. All right, so this is currently how this function operates. It's a handle delete function. This address is coming from user account, which is a WAGMI utility, a hook that you use to determine which wallet address is currently connected to this application. So we're saying that if there is no wallet address connected to this application, then it should just return this warning saying toast, connect wallet first. Otherwise, you proceed to this charity and deleting that charity organization. This is cool to an extent, but even though we come here, okay, and click on this delete, nothing will happen. You understand? Because we've not hooked up, the Redux procedure to launch a modal that will help us to achieve this. So, for example, what do I mean by that? Look at this delete modal, which is used in interpolating here. It holds a Tailwind class called scale of 0. But when I change that to scale of 100, this is what it shows up. So whenever I click that delete button, this is what should show up, and then I can perform this delete to delete that, whatever it is. So, but we can't operate it this way. We have to use a mechanized way to get it together. So how do we do that? So at this point, we want to create a function, or let's just bring in some items. So say const, want to say global action. So want to get this from global action. In global action, we want to get a function called set delete modal. Okay, and we also want to get dispatch. So we want to say dispatch is equal to use dispatch. No, dispatch, which is coming from React Redux. So at this point, I could come to this delete, this edit, this edit, what's it called? This delete charity, and then hook it up here. Say on click, okay. On click, this is what we want to dispatch that function. I'll pass the set delete modal into it, and then pass the scale value that you want it to be. The scale value, I want the scale value to increase to 100 at this point. Okay, so I'm going to copy this line here. Okay, I'll save this. Then to make it work on this end, it has to stop reading the value from here, but from the store itself, because we have an equivalent in the store. If you remember, we have, if I show you here, let's go back to the store. Here's the store. So we have action state, you can see delete modal, scales 1,0,0,0. All of them have a scale of 0. Even delete, what's it called? Even the action itself, you see how the action is. This is the set delete modal function that we're calling. So all of them, they have their representatives here. So now at this point, instead of doing hard coding this, want to grab it from the store. To grab it from the store, you want to say const, you want to say use selector. this use selector is going to take a param called state, and the state is of root state. Okay, now you want this state, you want to call this state dot the global state, which is where all these our properties they are. So we can then grab the delete modal property from this place, and with that you're almost good to go, except that you also need here, this is a close button. So what do I mean by that? So for now, when I click delete, you see how this is launched. Or I want to also be able to click on this close to close this in case I don't want to take any action. And how do I do that? This, we need to import this patch. So we'll say const dispatch is equal to use dispatch. Okay, we're getting it. And we also want to grab the function that enables us to perform this from global actions. Okay, I want to call this is of course, we're not calling it, called set delete modal. Okay, at this point, I just need to hook it up to this button here called onClick. We say onClick, it should just do this for us. Hope we get that straight. This is a button. What is it saying? Okay, so we have an issue here. I have to put this. It cannot be a self-executing function, so you have to put it inside a fat arrow function. Okay. So at this point, you save that. You check it out here. Okay, it has not received. Oh, sorry. This is not supposed to be scaling to 100. It should be scaling to 0. All right, to scale it down. So when we do this now, you see how that works smoothly. Say delete, like that. This is still cool, really cool. Okay, when we come to this place here, we need to be able to do some things. All right, I want to kick, because once you delete it, there's no reason why you should still be in this page. So I want to move you to the home page. Okay, so to do that, we need to grab the router. So say const router. It's got to use router, and in this place here, immediately after you're done deleting, you should do router dot push. So you push it to the home page, so that whomever deleted that will be moved to the home page immediately. So let us put this into effect. So I'm going to click this delete. All right, and it's saying, are you sure you want to delete this reinvigorate, blah blah blah? You understand this charity here? Then you say you delete and unlist. This is an irreversible situation, so once you confirm, you see it just moves you to the main page, and you can see that particular space is no longer being listed. So this is how you perform your deletion. All right, so in the next part of this video, I'm going to show you how to ban a particular charity organization. All right, so see you in the next video. Okay, before we can, this is good, let's just put it here, say able delete a charity. Okay, so we want to be able to perform what's it called, banning, right? So but banning is not under the jurisdiction of the owner of that charity. Okay, it's under the jurisdiction of the admin of the charity organization, basically the smart contract owner. Okay, so I'm going to bring in a function that enables us to get the admin, or the owner. So we can say call this get owner. All right, so this get owner function. What this function does is it grabs the Ethereum contract instance and calls on the get the owner method, and it returns it, which is a string, and that's why it's returning. This promise is returning a string. So at this point, we want to make it an exportable member. Yeah, we want to make it an exportable member. So then we can only utilize it where it is necessary. So for example, I'm going to put it here, save it. In this place, this is the only part that is, is going to be necessary that I have that owner variable. So for example, I'm going to duplicate this, call this owner account. Okay, I'll say admin account or owner account. So this is going to be a string, of course. Await this get owner. It doesn't need any parameter. All right, so you import that from the store. So this is the owner. So this owner account, you can export it, make it part of the exportable member. So owner account, the owner account here. So at the very top here, you can add it up saying owner account is a string. All right. And this string could be optional. Okay. So we're passing that owner account here. Okay. So at this point, there is a certain component where we can pass this owner. Okay. So let's look at this navbar here. I think we should rename this to something different. So let me do this quickly. So this get owner, let's change it to get admin so that we can do a proper distinguishing between the both of them. So, sorry. Okay, so this get owner, call it get admin, and we'll do get admin. All right, so this should be just be called admin. All right, admin, and admin. Here is admin as well. So we have all these things. This is the admin. Okay. So at this point, you want to come to this component right here. Instead of this donation ID is basically this charity ID, and this owner, so all of this can be captured into one. So I'm going to revamp this nav button a little bit. This is unscripted, but it becomes necessary. So what I'm going to do is say charity, okay, which is of a type of charity struct, and we just pass in one value, call it charity. Now, at this point, you look for where we have errors, which is this, say charity.id, and here is what? Charity.owner. This charity again, .id. So you see, this has solved, just about all the problems, but we still need admin, okay, which is a string and is optional. All right, so I'm going to pass an admin here, but I want to make this thing a lot more streamlined. I'll call this page prop, and then the page prop can be an interface here, okay, called page prop. No, I can paste this then. So this is the page prop, we're passing it here. And then this admin, which is optional, we can use that to create another of this menu item. And inside this menu item, we want to do an if else condition. So we can duplicate this basically. Come here, remove this one. Okay, just bring out this from here. We can then say, this if there is charity ID, okay, and secondly, if the address is equal to the admin, then we can perform ban charity, and it's still going to be red. Okay, at this point, I'm going to comment out this line and save, and then come here and make sure that we change the way we're doing all this. We can then say charity, we just pass in the charity, good, and then the admin, we just pass in, that admin here. All right, so you save that. Let's let's refresh. So he's saying this ID, may not be present. So saying may not be present. So you want to do, instead of charity.id, you want to say if there is a charity first. So let's refresh. So if there is a charity and that charity ID, so yep. So if there is a charity and the charity ID is equal to this, so at this point that cannot apply. In fact, I would like to come to a particular one that I'm not the owner. Okay, that this unique account, this account is not the owner. For example, you can see this one is not the owner of this account, is not the owner of this charity, and you can see that this ban charity is activated. Now what happens when I swap my account with this one? Let's see what happens. You can see that that ban charity is not there because it's not the admin account. Okay, so let's go back, switch to that admin account. Okay, make sure that this is connected. Okay, so at this point we can call this function, this ban function, to launch a component for us. So here's the component. Look at the component called ban, and currently ban is scaled down to 0. So when we save this, you see this is ban here, ban and unlist. So let's do it rightly. The first step to do it rightly, at this point, this nav bar here, we can include this function called set ban modal. Okay, and that is what we're going to be dispatching. So we'll activate this. Instead of set delete modal, we're setting ban modal, and that will launch that ban whenever we click on it. Then the next thing you want to do is, instead of getting ban from here, you can do const. Okay, I could just do here because I don't want to be repeating myself. So I could copy this line of code, bring it here. Okay, and make sure I import this and this, and this is what I want this here. Okay, so at this point we're almost through with that. So we also need this. Remember, when you ban, you need to get out. So we want this here. So use dispatch. We want use router, and then we want this global action. So for this one, we want to set ban modal. That's what we're calling for. And the same thing we did here, we can copy this line here and bring it here and paste here. Okay, so but we're going to be setting ban modal instead. Okay, we're not done yet. So at this point we are good. I mean, if we call on this ban, it's going to launch. You see, when you close it, it's going to disappear. But now we want to be able to click this and it works. But now it's not working yet. So let's go back. Okay, so just like with this, with what we did here, I'm just going to copy this whole line here, the delete charity activity, and paste it here. Change this to, ban charity. Okay, with that, this is set. We just about set. We save that, and then we come here and let's click on that ban charity again. And no, we don't want to ban these guys. Let's come to some dummy one that is not useful, like this. Okay, and then we want to say ban charity, and confirm. See, banned successfully, and now we have only 4. So ladies and gentlemen, that is how you perform banning in this. But the cool thing about banning is you can always go back. Let me see, this is number 1, that should be number 2 / donation. Is it number 2? Yeah, this is the one we just banned, and you can see this particular thing called ban has been locked. We use this to lock it up so people cannot perform donation. You can see there is no donation button anywhere, so nobody's going to be doing any donation again, and this has been indicated as ban. Even though you can locate it, but it's not going to be listed here, nor can you do anything about it until the admin unbans it. So with that said, let's jump into the next aspect. There are other things that we need to achieve. Okay, so we do that in the next tutorial. Okay, at this point, I think let me commit this. We can call this bans charity. Okay, synchronize. So at this point, you see, we want to be able to click donate, and then we can make donation. Okay, so right now there is that is not activated for us. So let us do that. Okay, so to do that, just as we've done before, we need to create a function for it, and that function, this function is going to have a little bit of a twist around it. So remember that there is a component responsible for this. So when we click on that button, let me close this button here called payment. This payment, there is a component called payment. So inside of this payment, there is a button called donate. Okay, when we click on this button, we want to be able to launch that particular stuff. Okay, so let's get that together. I need you to. Okay, so let's first of all get some dispatch and all of that. We can do that by simply copying and paste what we had done before. I'll copy this line, paste, I don't need this. Then import dispatch and import this action. So what we're looking for is set donors modal. Set donors modal. Okay. So this set donors modal, it will help us to launch what I'm simply means on click, what we expect it is to dispatch a new function called set donors modal and scale it to 100. All right, this is what we expect it to perform. Then on the donors or donation component, donors component, okay, we then could launch this. All right, so we then could say, let me keep this open, come to this delete, let's do something similar. We're going to copy this line of code, come here, close this, paste this here, import this selector and this. So at this point, I'm going to copy this line of code, remove this here, and do this, so that it's grabbing the state of this donors modal from the Redux store itself and not from our own end. Okay, so we come here. All right, and also we need to set this whole thing up here that enables us to change this. So I want to set this up as well, because this is a modal, we need to be able to close it. So I could copy this line of code below, right? All right, this line of code, come to this place here, this button, paste it here, and scale it down at this point to 0. So let's save and check it out on the front end. So when I click on donate now, you see this particular stuff is provided for me. You see, again, on the screen that I designed all these things, they were a little bit larger, but it seems shrinked. This my monitor now on my screen, sorry. So on the donors page here, you can do this. I think this is the place where it's having issues. So 2/5. Okay, that's better. Okay, so we can do this 2/5 for other components like this as well. It should be 2/5 for the delete and 2/5 for the ban. Okay, these will spread them up a little bit better than what they currently are. So at this point, you can see all this. This is what you add in to make donation. Okay, so when you come here, okay, at this point, you see that we're collecting the full name, the comment, and the amount from a form. So that form, we use these donors parameters to take those information, which include the ID is optional, but the most important ones are the comment, the full name, and the amount. Okay, so we need those information. So at this point, that is what we're using. So when we grab those things, we just make sure that, because the full name is optional, it's optional if you want to drop your name, since this is a decentralized space. So you can use your wallet address. So by using your wallet address, you don't have to include your full name. All right. So if there is no full name and no amount, then it should just simply return. But again, if there is no address, that is, you're not connected, then it should bounce you off saying, now connect wallet first. So if you're qualified for those two, then we can proceed with the payment, with the donation. But then again, to make the donation, you have to use something like this, a function like this. So I'm going to close this and come here and say, call this make donation. Make donation. So in making donation, you need the donation. The donation is going to be coming from the donation param. So it's donor param, okay? The donor param, because it has those information. So this is what you're getting from the form. At this point, we create an instance of this. Everything remains the same, but the function that we're communicating with is the donate function. Okay, the donate function requires an ID. The ID is the ID of the charity. The full name is not compulsory, it's not enforced, and the comment is also not enforced as well. So we can just put this here and change this, say donation dot ID, pass the ID there. Okay, after the ID, you pass the full name, you pass the charity, full name, I think, an amount, full name, comment, and for the amount, say donation dot amount, you want to do that here. Okay, you want to say, this is how you do it. Since this is a payable function, payable means that it has this payable clause, so it charges money. So you have to pass the money this way. The value is this. All right, so this is the value of the function. So you click on, once you do this, this is one step, though we're not quite done yet. You see, when you do this, I'm going to just make sure that we do this first so that we can see what is going on so far. So let's make this available. Come to this payment, and no, not the payment, this donor here, and let's Let's do something similar to what we did for delete. Okay, I'm gonna copy this line of code, bring it to here, and you want to say make donation, and you're passing the donation parameter, which is here, donor. So you're passing in donor here. Okay, and you're not getting out of this place, you're just logging out this, and that is it. So let's save that and see. So here we can, it's optional, so we say I like what you did and I want to donate like 2.7 ethers. So let's confirm that. Confirm, and you see donation was successful. One thing I didn't do was to close this modal afterward. But let's say I did this, and you can see that no reading here. It's as if nothing happened, but some things have happened. One of the things I wanted to use Redux for, so that we can make all these things asynchronous and dynamic, instead of just having it drop in there and nothing happen. We want to fetch it under the hood and populate it and make it responsive. So that is what we're trying to achieve. First of all, you see this reset form. We're going to do reset form, okay? And while we're resetting this form, we also will dispatch that close function so that this thing can close automatically. So, and then we can call this reset form here. Okay, reset form. That is one step, but that is just to close the modal. But we need to be able to show that this thing has been added. I mean, if I refresh here, you will see that that donation has been recorded, but it didn't just happen at real time. You can see all this. So we want to show the person, instantaneously what they've achieved. All right. So to do that, this is where the magic trick is going to happen. All right. Or the miracle. So at this point, after concluding this place, we're going to do some series of activities here. First, we want to get the supporters, the new supporters, because we know that supporters have increased. So we say await get supporters. And in getting supporters, of course, you want to pass in this donation.id. Okay. So we want to make sure that this donation is a number, it's a type of number, okay? So when you get the donation, the supporters, you want to store it in the, you want to update it in our Redux, because if you come here, whenever we're getting all the supporters, you see that we adding it, dispatching it to Redux first before we displayed it. So we need to update that one on Redux so that it can, take effect on our view. So how you do it is very simple as well. So at this place, at the top here, or let me do it after here, you want to say const, say global action, all right, and you want to say set supporters, set supports, okay? So you come here and you say store. We're using store directly this time around. We're not going to be using use selector, because that is based on a React component, but this is not a React component. This is just a bare-bone JavaScript. So you say .dispatch, okay? And then this is the function you want to dispatch, and these supporters are what you want to dispatch into it. So when you do this, then this part, which are the supporters here, will be updating, and this one as well will update. But this also needs to update as well, so you need to get the latest information about the charity, because this is a data about the charity. So to do that, you want to update the specific charity. So I'm going to say set charity, not charities, but charity. At this point, I'll make duplicate of this. I'll duplicate this function, this process, and I will call this one charity. Okay, charity, I'll call this get charity, singular, and this is that donation ID still is the same charity ID, so don't get it twisted. And at this place, instead of setting support, I will say set charity, all right, and then pass this charity here. Good. So with this here, you've achieved exactly what you need to make, your page pretty much dynamic. So I'm just gonna do a customary refresh to make sure that everything is on point. Then you see, this is my wallet address. I donated this. Let's make donation again. Let's call this James Welby. So I'll put this comment here, and then I'll call this about 4.2, and I click donate. Watch how everything gets calibrated at real time after confirmation. So I say confirm, and you can see how this increased. You can see the number of supporters also increased. You can see this increased here. So everything is just dynamic. This is pretty cool. This is one of the favorite feature that I like about using Redux together with your decentralized application and making everything pretty much smooth. This is good. So there's also a button called see all donation, okay, that you click, you'll be able to see all the donation. Right here, you're able to see just a certain number of donations, so donors. So what do I mean by that? For example, here you can see that is only four supporters that you can see at a time, but if you want to see all the supporters, there's a component that we do have that enables us to achieve this, and that is donations. So this is a component here. We need to be able to launch this component. Is this component? No, not this component. So the component, I think this is the supporters component. Currently, if I do 100, you see it here. This is the supporters component. So let us make it Redux based, okay? And to make it Redux based, the first step we need to do is I don't see the use of this address here. Okay, so I'm going to remove it. So let's come to payment. Let's see, payment will do it. Okay, I think this component will do it more. So let's grab this component, these items here. So bring it here. Make sure we import these. Save this here as well. Import this, use dispatch, and import this global action. For here, we want to say set support modal. We have that, set support modal. And here we also need to be using support modal, okay, which is already connected here. Okay, and we don't need to use this one again. And when I close this place, I want to copy this line of code here. When I close here, I want to do this. Okay, this is good. Just copy this and replace it here. So when I close, I just set the support modal, scale it down to 0. So at this point, we'll say okay. All right, so okay, and let us see if it's working. No, it's not yet working. We need to hook up that button. So to hook up that button, you come to this donor. Is it this donor? No, the ID here. In this payment component, there's a button called see top modal. So I'm gonna do something like this. Copy this line of code, paste it here. Then I'll come here and say set support modal. Okay, and this is what I use to replace this. sorry, replace this. I could also copy this line as well so that any one of these buttons that is clicked will launch that. So at this point, come here. So when you click on see top modal, so you can see that. You see that is pretty cool. See top donation, you can see all that. So we want to do some last minute trick where when we click on this donate, this isn't working right now. But when we click on that donate button, it just literally closes this supporters mode and launches the donate mode. This is donate mode. So we want, when we click on this, it closes this mode and launches this mode automatically. So that's what we want to do. So let's come back here. So we're not going to be working here anymore. This is the place that we want to look at. So I'll also say set donors mode. So instead of, okay, I'm going to say it on const. I'm going to set a function const on donate. On donate, I want this to happen. I want the support mode to close, and I want this donors mode to open, and then I can hook it up. No, to open with 1,000. I mean 100 here. So I could then hook up this function here. This is not a submit function, so yeah, it's not a submit function. So we'll call this type, a button. I don't even know why we put it in the form. We should make sure that this is not a form. This is a div. All right, and this is not necessary. So we say on click, and then you do on donate. So let's try that out. So we say see donation, donate now. You can see that. That is pretty cool. Close that, do that again. Donate now. Dang. That is pretty fantastic. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how you make a decentralized crowdfunding system, like GoFundMe or, any one of these modern, platform that, crowdfunds different organization and charity. So there is one thing here that I want to make consistent, the height of this card, the image in the card itself. I want to make it a little bit more consistent. So I could close up all this and come to this card component. Cards. Okay, inside the card component, I'm looking for the image. So I can add a class name here. So we'll say something like height of 44. Let's see if that works. So okay, yeah, that is almost perfect, but let's increase that again. Say height of 64 instead. Save that. That is too much. Or about object, cover. Okay, so it's pretty much solid. Maybe I could put this, in its, reduce this again, height of 56 instead. Height of 56. Let's see how it goes. This is perfect. And one more thing, you see, I can only click on this donate now, but I want to be able to click anywhere in this card and it takes me there. So instead of this being the only link here, we can make this entire thing a link. So let's see what we can do. The image itself, we can wrap it around the link. So let's see a link tag. Okay, so we can take this, paste it here. So let's save that and see. So now the image should lead you to that charity organization itself. All right, this is pretty fun and fantastic. I love, working on this. There's a little bit of a problem here. The width, we need to address it. The width of the image. Want to say width should be full. You understand? And height, you see, with being full, that just makes it perfect. Okay, so I'm glad we just cleaned up that whole stuff. It looks much more uniform across, all of the cards. All right, so this is it. This is it. Congratulations, dear. You've been able to accomplish this first tutorial that was brought to you by Bitfinity. So in this tutorial, we went through the process of creating a decentralized charity, tracking, platform where you have all your people donating to you, crowdfunding, and all of that. We went through every aspect of this development, including smart contract creation, Redux integration, and also integrating the smart contract to the front end itself. Everything works seamlessly. I know that you've benefited quite a lot in this process, and if you have, I would highly recommend and I will appreciate it if you smash the like button and subscribe button here and on our channel as well. So I really am happy about this. So we have a lot of challenge for you to do, like just few challenge for you to win some prizes. That is one of the things that these tutorials they came with. So some prizes, okay? So please check the description section. You see different tags, and it includes a book, 1 month subscription and 3 month subscription to our platform Dapp Mentors, where you have all these NFT development, courses on NFT marketplace, blockchain development, and smart contracts, a whole lot of things that we help you. Okay, we're giving it this for you, for free, just by participating in that little challenge that you are required to do. So with that said, I'm Darlington Gospel, and I love you guys. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.